Fighting Irish of Notre Dame against the Trojans of Southern California. Southern Cal comes into this game with a 49-0 win over Washington State, a 17-13 win over Texas, 21-17 over Michigan State, and 30-0 over Stanford. They have a score to settle with the Fighting Irish, and there's no doubt about it. They're out to prove this afternoon that they deserve that number one ranking. You've all been reading the newspapers. I'm quite certain you know that Notre Dame comes into this game with the odds favoring them by at least 10 points, which in itself is most unusual, that a number one team faces a competitor and has that number one ranking more or less demeaned by the odds makers favoring the opponent. The officials are still down there at midfield waiting the arrival of these two ball clubs. Here comes Notre Dame on the field, and this ball game will be getting underway in just a matter of moments. Now, before this kickoff, with a few more words about the preliminaries, here's your play-by-play announcer, Jimmy Morse.
Thank you, Frank. Notre Dame just on the field below us here. As we told you a little bit earlier, it's a beautiful day for football at Notre Dame. Temperature is 65 degrees. The sun is shining brightly, and the field is in excellent condition. We have a wind from the west-southwest at 8 to 15 miles an hour, and shouldn't be much of a factor. Southern California won the toss this afternoon and elected to receive. They'll defend the goal to our left, which is the north goal. Notre Dame, on the other hand, will kick off and defend the goal to our right, which is the south goal, as we sit on the west side of the stadium. And, of course, we're very, very happy this afternoon to bring this football game to all of our listeners around the ABC radio network, but also this game will be heard worldwide to our armed forces overseas through the facilities of Armed Forces Radio. So we're happy to have you along for this very, very important game this afternoon between Notre Dame, the fifth-ranked team in the nation, and Southern California, at the moment ranked number one. Notre Dame gold pants, blue shirts, white numerals, and gold helmets is huddled below us here around Notre Dame head football coach Ara Parsegian. And on the other side of the field, Southern California now goes into a huddle around their head football coach, Johnny McKay, who has done a fantastic job at USC in his 8 years of coaching there. Now, we told you a moment ago that Southern Cal was going to defend the goal to our left. They're lined up on the right now. So, we were correct, and they were incorrect as we changed sides once again. Joe Azzaro will be kicking off for Notre Dame. Back deep for Southern California, O.J. Simpson, the leading rusher in the United States, along with Earl McCullough. Both of these boys run the 100-yard dash in less than 9.5 seconds. Now we have a change now. Jimmy Lawrence is going back in place of Earl McCullough. But that's not much of that's no change in the speed. They both run the 100 under 9.2, under 9.5. So action just about to get underway. Joe Azzaro to kick for Notre Dame. There's the boot. Taken at the 5-yard line by Lawrence. Back to the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and all the way out to the 35-yard line before he's stopped by John Lavin. Jim Lawrence all the way out to the 35-yard line, a return of 30 yards on the kickoff. Offensively now for the Southern California Trojans, that backfield will be O.J. Simpson, Dan Scott, and Jim Lawrence. The quarterback is Steve Sagi. It's Southern California's football, 1st and 10 from their own 35-yard line. And Steve Sagi complains to referee Howard Wirtz that the Notre Dame student body is making too much noise for him to call the signals, and he's going to get some relief. Captain Dave Martin of Notre Dame now signals for the Notre Dame student body to quiet down and we can get this football game underway.
It was interesting, Jim, that this would happen right now because Johnny McKay, the head coach, was quoted earlier this week in the newspapers that that Notre Dame crowd is something you just can't overcome in calling signals, and they've had experience with it before their first play from scrimmage.
That's exactly right, Frank. The Trojans football, 1st and 10 from their own 35. McCullough is split to the left. Lawrence goes in motion now to the left. Sagi, the quarterback, hands to his fullback. Scott over left tackle. He stops at the 37-yard line. Chuck Lauk making that stop for Notre Dame. There's a penalty marker on the play. It's going to be a 5-yard march off against Southern California for illegal motion.
The official in the background there, Jim, was right on the spot. He actually almost threw that flag before the ball was snapped. He was watching the man in motion, Lawrence, and Lawrence made his turn downfield before the ball was snapped, thereby the penalty.
All right, McCullough out to the left this time. Once again, Lawrence on the wing to the right. It's first down and 15 from the Southern Cal 30-yard line. Lawrence in motion to the left this time. The handoff goes to number 32, O.J. Simpson, and he's out to the 34-yard line. The tackle was made by John Pregame over right tackle that time. That offensive line now for Southern California. We have Earl McCullough, the split end, Mike Taylor, the left tackle, Steve Lamer, the left guard, Dick Allman is at center, Mike Scarpace, the right guard, Ron Yeri at right tackle, and Bob Miller is the tight end. In the backfield, we have Simpson, Lawrence, Scott, and Sagi. A gain of 3. It's 2nd and 12. The ball at the 33-yard line now of Southern Cal. McCullough to the left. Lawrence in motion now again to the left. And back to pass goes Sagi. He looks. He throws long. And it is caught. Caught at the 47-yard line. A beautiful catch that time by O.J. Simpson. And that'll be good for the first down. Gain of 14 yards on the play. The ball is spotted right at the 47-yard line. 1st and 10 Trojans from their own 47. McCullough to the left, Lawrence to the right. Sagi, the quarterback. There's the snap. The handoff goes to Simpson over right tackle, and he's stopped after a gain of about a yard by Bob Kuchenberg and Mike McCoy. Defensively now, Frank, for Notre Dame, that front four, Bob Kuchenberg is the left end, Mike McCoy the left tackle, Eric Norrie is the right tackle, and Chuck Lauk is at right end. The linebackers are Pregame, McGill, Olson, and Martin, and in the deep secondary, we have Smithberger, Shane, and O'Leary. A gain of 2 on the play. It's 2nd and 8 from the 49 of Southern Cal. Sagi goes back to pass. He looks, he throws, and it's complete at the 45-yard line of Notre Dame to big Bob Miller, and he's brought down at the 33-yard line. Check that. It's going to be the 32.
This is what Notre Dame has to look out for. Southern Cal is probably one of the fastest teams in the country. On previous plays, Martin had been picking up the man in motion, and the defenders in the middle were getting in. At that time, the receiver was wide open. Tommy Shane had no choice except to haul him down.
19 yards on the play. It's 1st and 10, Southern Cal from the Notre Dame 32. The handoff goes to the left halfback, O.J. Simpson, over left tackle, and he bangs his way to the 30 or perhaps the 29-yard line.
This is where the battle will be joined. Southern Cal with that tremendous speed. The front four of Notre Dame has to contain them, or this Trojan ball club is going to keep right on marching down that field. They've given good evidence of that thus far with 12 minutes and 2 seconds remaining. No score yet in the first quarter.
3 yards on the play. It's 2nd down and 7. The ball at the 29 of Notre Dame. Lawrence is to the left this time. McCullough to the right. Handoff goes to Simpson again off left tackle, and he's down to about the 26-yard line and thrown back by Tommy Shane and Dave Martin.
Jim, you know from your own playing days that this kind of yardage down here inside the 30 gets a little tougher with every yard that you move.
Boy, that it does, Frank. Gain of 2 on that play. It's 3rd and 5. The ball now at the Notre Dame 27. Earl McCullough split wide to the left this time. On the wing to the right is Lawrence. High formation in the backfield. Sagi, the quarterback. 3rd and 5 at the 27. Back to pass goes Sagi. Throws out in the left flat. It's complete to Simpson. He's brought down right away. Bob Olson came up and met O.J. Simpson right at the 30-yard line. Olson's only a sophomore linebacker for Notre Dame, and he knows exactly what he's doing in that defensive secondary. He's 6 feet tall, 225 pounds, from Superior, Wisconsin.
The deep man on that pass play was McCullough, but Shane was over him like a damp dishcloth over there, and Sagi had to throw quickly. He did hit the short man, but the Notre Dame defense was up to the moment.
Bob Miller now in at tight end, replacing Bob Klein for Southern California. And we're going to get a delay of game penalty against the Trojans. Yards against Southern California for a delay of the game. Fourth down, 12 yards to go. The ball at the Notre Dame 35-yard line. And Aldridge, the kicker for Southern California, comes in to punt. Tommy Shane doesn't believe it. He backs up very slowly. Aldridge standing at the Notre Dame 47-yard line. There's the snap. Good snap from center. He's trying to kick it out of bounds. Heads for the sidelines. However, Shane is going to get it at the 8. Back to the 10, 15. And to the 17-yard line goes Tommy Shane. Steve Lamer made the stop for Southern California. A 25-yard kick and a 9-yard return. It's Notre Dame's football, 1st and 10 at their own 17-yard line. Notre Dame comes out of the huddle now, sent back momentarily. Terry Hanratty will direct that Irish attack this afternoon. Going into the football game, he completed 53 of 103 passes, good for 655 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Well, Southern Cal maintained possession of that ball for 5 minutes thus far in this first quarter. We have no score, but the Fighting Irish take over 1st and 10 from their own 17-yard line. And while we have a little delay in the action, here are some other scores that have come along, follow-ups on some of those that we gave you earlier. At the half, Maryland 3, North Carolina State nothing. At the half, Rutgers 14, Delaware 8. First quarter score in a tight one thus far, Cornell 7, Princeton 6. At the half, Yale 14, Brown nothing. Old Eli has scored 14 points in the second quarter there. And a first quarter score, Maine and New Hampshire. New Hampshire leads by a 3-0 score. Action about to be resumed here at Notre Dame Stadium, where it is Notre Dame nothing and Southern Cal nothing. This is Frank Sweeney back now to Jim Morse.
Out of the huddle now come the Irish, 1st and 10 from their own 17-yard line. Seymour and Blyer are split to the left with Seymour in the slot to that side. Hanratty gets the ball, hands off to his fullback, Zimmerman, right up the center, and he's out to the 21-yard line. Jim Snow, left side linebacker, making the stop for Southern Cal. 4 yards on the play. The ball is spotted at the 21. It's 2nd down and 6. Seymour and Blyer coming to the left side again. In that backfield in the I formation are Zimmerman and Gladjo standing directly behind Hanratty. There's the snap. Gladjo with the football, and he's out to the 25-yard line. Offensively now for Notre Dame, we have Jim Seymour, the split end, Jim Riley, the left tackle, Tom McKinley, the left guard, Steve Quinn is at center, Dick Swatland is the right guard, George Coons at right tackle, and at right end is Jim Weingartner. The ball is at the 25-yard line. It's 3rd down and 2. Hanratty calls the signals. There's the snap. He keeps the ball himself, fights his way forward. I believe he's short of that 1st down. In to make the stop was Gary Magner, the left side tackle, the right side tackle. Check that for Southern California. The ball is spotted at the 26. It's going to be 4th and 1. And Notre Dame will be forced to kick.
4th down and 1 for Notre Dame.
Rocky Blyer will kick for Notre Dame. He's standing back at his own 13-yard line. Mike Battle is the safety man for Southern California. There's the snap. The kick is away. Pretty good one this time. Taken by Battle at his own 42. He's back to the 45. Gets away from 2 tacklers. And is finally brought down by the 3rd tackler at the 49-yard line. Making the stop was George Coons for Notre Dame. A kick of 33 yards and a run back of 2.
Jimmy, was obvious on that time the effect of the new rule about those interior linemen not being able to go downfield until the kick was made. The punt receiver took that ball in at his own 40, and as he took it in, the nearest defender was at least 15 yards away from him.
Kevin Hardy is in defensively now for Notre Dame as Southern California takes the ball. 1st and 10 from their own 48-yard line. Lawrence in motion to the left. Pitch back goes to Simpson. He slips and falls. And right there with him was Bob Olson in case he wasn't about to slip. A loss of a yard on the play. Bob Klein comes in at the tight end position now for Southern Cal, replacing Bob Miller. A loss of a yard on the play. It's 2nd and 11. The ball now at the SC 47-yard line. McCullough split to the right this time. Soggy goes back to pass. He throws, and it's complete at the 35-yard line of Notre Dame. Catching that pass, Earl McCullough. John Pergine and Jim Smithberger were over there defending. However, McCullough pulled it down. Going into this game, he was the Trojans' leading pass catcher, catching 18 for 339 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Again, this is where that Southern California speed is beginning to show. Smithberger was deep. When he saw the pass heading for the man Pergine was covering, he tried to come up and assist, but the pass was completed. Soggy now is 4 for 4 for a total of 50 yards.
The ball is spotted at the 36 of Notre Dame. It's 1st and 10 Southern California, and it looks like we've got another penalty against Southern Cal for delay of the game. That was a 17-yard completion going from Steve Soggy, the quarterback, to Earl McCullough, his split end. Soggy, coming into this football game, had completed 63% of his passes. 37 of 59, good for 526 and 3 touchdowns. 5 yards against Southern Cal for delay of the game makes it 1st down, 15 yards to go. The ball at the Notre Dame 41. McCullough to the left. Lawrence goes in motion to the left this time. The handoff goes to Scott over right tackle, and he bangs his way inside the 35-yard line. Dan Scott, who is substituting today for the injured Mike Hall.
Purdue's making itself heard this afternoon at Ohio State. It is now halftime, and Purdue leads the Buckeyes 35-0.
The ball is at the 34-yard line, a gain of 7 yards. It's 2nd and 8. There's the snap. Back to pass goes Soggy. Throws long for McCullough. Back with him is O'Leary. It's incomplete. Tom O'Leary knocked that ball down at the 3-yard line. The pass intended for Earl McCullough.
Little side action there on that one. As O'Leary and McCullough were fighting for the ball, O'Leary actually bumped McCullough and knocked him down, and some of the Southern Cal fans on the other side of the field thought there might be an interference call, but there wasn't. And as McCullough got up from the turf, he gave Tommy a little bit of a hip there, as much as to let him know he thought so too.
Bob Klein in at tight end, replacing Bob Miller. The ball at the Notre Dame 34. It's 3rd and 8. Steve Soggy gets the snap from center. He hands off to Simpson over left tackle. He's inside the 30 to the 28 or 27-yard line. Mike McGill makes the stop, along with Kevin Hardy, who is in now defensively for Notre Dame. Hardy is playing defensive tackle now instead of defensive end on the right side. Simpson has now carried the ball 5 times for 14 yards. The ball now at the 28-yard line. It's 4th down and about 2. Lawrence on the wing to the right this time. Simpson gets the ball again up the middle, and he does not get the 1st down. Kuchenberg's in there. Eric Norrie is in there. Pergine and Shane. Almost of the entire Notre Dame team. There's timeout on the field with the score. Notre Dame nothing and Southern Cal nothing.
When you rent a car from Avis, we try harder all the time. Rent a car from Avis.
Avis wants to spend a weekend with you. You know, a quiet drive over the countryside. Maybe San Diego or Las Vegas. You pick the spot. We'll meet you at noon Friday and spend 3 unforgettable days until noon Monday. Just a new Avis Plymouth and you. Think of it. 3 whole days together at a special weekend discount rate. And that takes care of everything. Gas, oil, even insurance. We're waiting for your call at 481-2000. Next weekend can't come too soon for us.
Rent a car from Avis. We try harder all the time. Brother Cox and Avis.
With 5 minutes and 22 seconds remaining in the first quarter here at South Bend, it is Notre Dame nothing and Southern Cal nothing. And the Irish defense has risen to the occasion. A turnover of the ball to Notre Dame at their own 28-yard line. Back to the action on 1st and 10. Here's Jim.
All right, Frank. 1st and 10, Notre Dame from their own 28-yard line as Seymour and Gladjo are split wide to the right this time. There's the snap. The pitch back goes to Blyer over left tackle to the 30 and to the 35-yard line. As Adrian Young makes the stop for Southern California.
On a previous series of downs the Irish had, I noticed Southern Cal is double-teaming Jim Seymour, and they're also sending a man out there to protect against the flanker back. Leaving the middle open, let's see if Hanratty goes for it, if they operate that way in this series.
2nd down and 3. The ball at the Notre Dame 35. The handoff goes to Blyer again right up the center, and he's to about the 32-yard line. Check that, the 37-yard line. He'll be just shy of the first down. Defensively now for Southern California, the front five, we have Tim Rosovich, Dennis Crane, Ralph Oliver, Gary Magner, and Jim Gunn. The linebackers are Jim Snow and Adrian Young. The rover back is Ty Salness. It's Notre Dame's football at the 30, let's make it the 36-yard line, 3rd and 1. There's the snap. The handoff goes to Blyer. He's going to be close. In to make the stop, big number 55, Jim Snow, the left side linebacker, and we're going to have a measurement. In that defensive secondary for Southern California, we have Bill Jurancic, Mike Battle, and Pat Cashman.
It's seemingly becoming more obvious up here that Notre Dame's game plan today is calling for that running game, at least here in the first quarter. We haven't seen too much passing by the Irish as we await this measurement. If the Notre Dame ball club has succeeded, I won't need to tell you. You'll hear the cheer from the crowd. But at first glance, it still looks like they're about a foot or a foot and a half short. So it'll be a 4th down situation coming up. Notre Dame obviously will go for the punt with the ball at the field position they have, their own 37-yard line. While we have a moment, some other scores at the half. Virginia 6, Duke nothing. First quarter score, Columbia 6, Harvard 3. First quarter, Virginia and Duke nothing to nothing. First quarter, Bowling Green nothing, Toledo 6, and at the half, Dartmouth leads Penn 13 to nothing.
No score in the football game between Southern California and Notre Dame. 3:55 remaining in the first quarter. 4th and 1. And Gladjo kicks for Notre Dame. Battle takes it at the 16-yard line, back to the 20, 25, 30, 35, gets away from 2 tacklers to the 40-yard line. Mike Battle is finally brought down by Jeff Zimmerman. A 45-yard kick that time by Gladjo, and a 24-yard return. There's a penalty marker on the play. There's timeout on the field with the score. Notre Dame nothing and Southern Cal nothing.
Once again, Avis is pleased to be part of what already is a tremendous year for college football. And this new gridiron season reminds us that the new 1968 cars are on their way. And that's just another reason to rent your next new car from Avis. Yes, Avis will have the 68s, and you'll have the pleasure and excitement of driving a beautiful new 68 Plymouth or other fine car from Avis. So it's almost a new everything. New football season, exciting new college teams, new cars. Virtually everything's new, except that Avis We Try Harder service and the low Avis rate that includes all your gas, oil, and insurance. So Avis sincerely hopes you enjoy this new college football year. We know you'll enjoy the new 68s when they arrive at Avis. And remember, you'll find Avis as near as your telephone. The number in Los Angeles is 481-2000. Call Avis first and see how much harder Avis tries. Now back to Notre Dame football.
On that kick, there was a personal foul called against Notre Dame, and Southern California is going to get possession of the ball. 1st and 10 at the Notre Dame 28-yard line. The handoff goes to Scott over right tackle, and he's down to the 20. There's a penalty marker on the play. Plenty of action in this football game. It's going to be a hard-hitting one, as we can see from our vantage point here on the west side of the stands. This one, a 5-yard penalty, is going to be assessed against Southern California for illegal motion.
You know, Mike Battle actually has put Southern Cal into this position. He made a fine return on that Notre Dame punt, working the ball up to about the 40, and then an additional 15 yards for the personal foul has given Southern Cal great field position in spite of that 5-yard penalty against them just now. It'll be first down and 15 for Southern Cal at the 33. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification.
Alan Slate, Tom Harmon, Howard Cosell, Chris Schenkel. Their beat is sports on your Notre Dame football station, KABC Los Angeles.
Play about to be resumed on the field, and we're having a little bit of one of those days, you know, where things happen as far as on the field there. A little discussion between officials and captains of these ball clubs, but I think everything's straightened out. We're ready to go, and here's Jim.
And it is, Frank. It's first and 15, Southern California from the Notre Dame 32-yard line. Lawrence goes in motion to the left. McCullough's already out there. The handoff goes to Scott, the fullback, right up the middle. He's over the 30 to perhaps the 27-yard line, a gain of 5 yards. Bob Olson makes the stop for Notre Dame. Ball is just inside the 28-yard line, actually a gain of about 4.5, but we'll call it second and 10 with the ball at the 27, as Lawrence and McCullough are both out to the left side this time. There's the snap. The handoff goes to Simpson, and he's dropped over left tackle. There's another flag on the play. Offside this time against Southern California. I think we've seen more flags here in the first period of this football game than we have all year following the Notre Dame football team.
And Ref Howie Wirtz is so magnanimous with his gestures out there. I think he's going to have a sore right arm, not from passing, but by making the indications to the stand. No score yet, with 2 minutes and 54 seconds remaining in the first quarter. This is Frank Sweeney along with Jim Morris on ABC, as we are every Saturday afternoon with Notre Dame football. A beautiful afternoon, 2 fine ball clubs ready to go at it again. Third down, 10 yards to go, Southern Cal. The ball just outside the Notre Dame 27-yard line. Soggy, the quarterback, gets the ball. He goes back to pass. Now he's going to run with it. He's to the 30, down to the 25, coming to the near sidelines, and to the 20, and knocked out of bounds at the Notre Dame 18-yard line. He'll be close to that first down. Let's see if he got it. A good commentary there on the size of football players today. Mike McCoy, the defensive tackle, 270 pounds, was in there on the play. The runner made his break to the right, and Mike was almost catching up with him before the tackle was made. So those big guys can move, and that is what makes a big difference, I'm certain, in modern-day football.
A gain of about 9 yards. It's fourth down and about a yard to go. The ball just inside the Notre Dame 19. There's the snap. It's Simpson with the football over left tackle, and let's see. It's going to be close. We're going to have a measurement. No, we're not. Notre Dame takes over. Big Kevin Hardy made the stop for Notre Dame, along with Dave Martin. And there's a happy bunch of Notre Dame defensive men coming off that field now.
Well, you know, you don't get too many moments to shine up here, but Howie Murdoch and I were talking before the game that defensive line of Notre Dame is going to make the difference one way or the other today.
Irish out of the huddle with first and 10 from their own 19-yard line. Hanratty gets the ball. He goes back to pass. He throws hard. It's complete to Seymour at the 32. And he fights his way forward to the 35-yard line. Yards on the play from Terry Hanratty to Jim Seymour. That ball is at the 35, first and 10, Notre Dame. Seymour is split to the left this time, and Rocky Blyer is split to the right. Terry Hanratty gets the ball, moves back to his left now. He's being chased. He goes around to the right now and looks. He throws it incomplete at the 40-yard line. That pass was into and out of the hands of Jim Weingartner.
Seymour had about 3 steps on Pat Cashman down here at the Southern Cal 30-yard line. Terry couldn't see him, however, and it would have necessitated a long bomb, but had he picked him up, Seymour had the distance.
Well, you talk about speed on that Southern California football team. They've got 3/4 of the world's record-holding 440-yard relay team. We'll tell you more about that in a moment. It's 2nd and 10, Notre Dame from their own 35. Hanratty goes back to pass, being chased. The ball is tipped up in the air by an oncoming lineman, Tim Rosovich, and it's incomplete. Tim Rosovich, 6'5", 235 pounds, the defensive left end for Southern California.
Later in the schedule, Notre Dame will be playing Pittsburgh. Here's a score that Notre Dame fans will be interested in. At the first quarter, Pittsburgh nothing, Wisconsin nothing. At the half, Buffalo 6, Boston U nothing.
3rd down, 10 yards to go. Notre Dame from their own 35. Seymour to the left along with Blyer. Gladjo is split to the right. Back to pass goes Hanratty. He looks, he's being chased, he throws, it's complete at the 50-yard line. Bob Gladjo makes that reception at the 50-yard line, and he's dropped immediately by Bill Jurancic. 15 yards on the play.
He's opening up that middle because Southern Cal is still double-teaming the split end and the flanker back, and Gladjo is right across to pull that one in.
The ball is right at midfield. Notre Dame has possession, 1st and 10. Blyer is split to the left this time. Hanratty calls the signals. It's the draw play to Zimmerman right up the middle, and a great defensive play at the 48-yard line by number 55, Jim Snow, the left side linebacker for Southern California. Two yards on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 8. The ball now at the 48-yard line of Southern Cal. 54 seconds remaining here in the first period. Hanratty is now 2 for 4, good for 31 yards. 2nd and 8, there's the snap. The pitch back goes to Gladjo around the right side, to the 45, to the 40, inside the 40, to the 39-yard line. He's got the first down.
Good move by the runner as Dennis Crane tried to haul him in there. Defensive tackle for Southern Cal. Just twisted a little bit and was able to pick up that yardage across the 40. The Irish now, with 20 seconds remaining in the quarter, have good field position at the Southern Cal 39-yard line.
From that point, it's 1st and 10. Bill Jurancic and Adrian Young made the stop that time on Bob Gladjo. Hanratty calls the signals, hands the ball to Zimmerman right up the middle. He's inside the 35 to the 34-yard line where Adrian Young makes the stop for Southern Cal. Ball just inside the 35-yard line. And that's the end of the first quarter with the score. Notre Dame nothing and Southern Cal nothing.
Once again, Avis is pleased to be part of what promises to be a tremendous year for college football. And this new gridiron season reminds us that the new 1968 cars are on their way. And that's just another reason to rent your next new car from Avis. Yes, Avis will have the 68s. And you'll have the pleasure and excitement of driving a beautiful new 68 Plymouth or other fine car from Avis. So it's almost a new everything. New football season, exciting new college teams, new cars, virtually everything's new. Except that Avis, we try harder service. And the low Avis rate that includes all your gas, oil, and insurance. So Avis sincerely hopes you enjoy this new college football year. We know you'll enjoy the new 68s when they arrive at Avis. And wherever you are, in California or the other 49 states or in 37 foreign countries, you'll find Avis as near as your telephone. The number in Los Angeles is 481-2000. That's Avis, a mighty fine place to rent your car, believe me. The first quarter of Notre Dame SC football was brought to you by Avis.
Frank Sweeney along with Jim Morse again here at Notre Dame, Indiana, where the Fighting Irish and the Trojans of Southern California are scoreless after the first 15 minutes of play. Southern California's highly touted speed has been contained thus far by Notre Dame. Hanratty has started to penetrate somewhat with his aerials, but neither team has been able to score. Now from the 35-yard line, 2nd down, the Irish and Jim Morse.
2nd and 6 from the 35. It's Seymour and Blyer split to the left. Hanratty gets the ball, hands to Gladjo right up the middle. He's inside the 30, and he's close to the first down. Willard Scott and Gary Magner made the stop for Southern California. In defensively now for Southern California comes Ty Salness replacing Jerry Shaw at the roverback position. We're going to have a measurement here. It's very close to the first down. Gladjo has carried 3 times for Notre Dame. Good for 20 yards so far in the football game.
Notre Dame will be facing Navy 3 weeks from today, and here's a first period score. Navy 14, Syracuse 7. As down on the field, the Irish are just about a foot short of that first down, just over the Southern Cal 30-yard line.
So from that point, it'll be third down and about a foot as Notre Dame comes out of the huddle. Tight formation this time. Tighter than usual anyway. Jim Seymour split just a couple of yards to the left. Terry Hanratty gets the ball, hands to Zimmerman right up the middle. He's got the first down, but there's a penalty marker on the play. It looks like it's against Southern California for offside. That's the signal. As Terry Hanratty discusses this penalty with referee Howie Wirtz. First down, Notre Dame. The ball is at the 24-yard line of Southern California. Good blocking that time on the left side of the Notre Dame line. Jim Riley, Tom McKinley, and Steve Quinn. Notre Dame out of the huddle with 1st and 10 at the Southern Cal 24-yard line. Rocky Blyer and Jim Seymour are both split to the left. Terry Hanratty gets the ball, fakes it to one back, keeps it himself. He's to the 20 and knocked down at the 19-yard line. Adrian Young making the stop along with Willard Scott.
A little background on this series. This is the 39th meeting between Southern Cal and Notre Dame. The Irish lead in the series, 25 wins against 11 losses and 2 ties. The Trojans have been unable to beat the Irish here at South Bend since 1939 when they won by a 20-12 score.
Seymour to the right, Blyer to the left. It's 2nd and 5 at the SC 19-yard line. There's the snap. The handoff to Zimmerman right up the middle, and he's stopped after a gain of about a yard. Jim Gunn in there to make the stop for Southern Cal. Out of the ball game now goes Jerry Shaw, replaced by Ty Solis at the roverback position. In for Notre Dame comes Paul Snow, replacing Bob Gladjo. A gain of a yard on the play. It's 3rd and 4 from the 18-yard line as Snow and Blyer this time go out to the left. Terry Hanratty gets the ball, fakes the handoff, goes back to pass. He looks, he's being chased now to the right. Now he throws it, and it's intercepted by Southern California's Adrian Young at the 9. Southern Cal gets the ball, Frank.
I was just going to say, that's one of those plays that drive a head coach to gray hairs. Terry, on a busted play, kept looking downfield. Maybe it might have been better if he had eaten the ball. There's timeout on the field with the score, Notre Dame nothing and Southern Cal nothing.
Notre Dame football is brought to you by HFC, serving more than 2.5 million people every year. Household finance, where you can borrow with confidence. If you're about to take a loan for the first time, remember, it costs money to borrow money. Sure it does, but really, it's just like renting an apartment, a car, or an electric rug shampooer. You're paying for the use of something that belongs to someone else. When you borrow from Household Finance, you'll pay for the use of their money. But at HFC, they'll tell you in advance what your loan will cost. There'll be no surprises or hidden extras either. Moreover, Household suggests wherever you plan to borrow, make sure you're not paying more for your loan elsewhere than you would at HFC. Then do as millions do every year. See HFC, Household Finance, where you may borrow with confidence. At Household Finance, you may borrow up to $2,500 and may choose from a wide variety of repayment plans. See your phone book for the Household Finance office nearest you.
Some scores. First quarter, Illinois, Minnesota, 0-0. At the half, Harvard 23, Columbia 6. First quarter, Kansas and Nebraska are scoreless. And at the half, Western Michigan 7, Kent State 7.
Southern California's football, 1st and 10 from their own 9-yard line. Steve Sagi gets the ball, hands to Scott, his fullback over left tackle, and he's out to about the 12 or 13-yard line. Tom O'Leary in on the stop, along with Dave Martin, Chuck Lauk, and Mike McGill.
Bob Olson didn't have a part of that tackle, but he was trying to push off a blocker so well that he actually forced a little of that tackle on the runner for Southern Cal.
Bob Miller in at tight end for Southern Cal, replacing Bob Klein. A gain of 4 on the play. It's 2nd and 6 from the 13. McCullough split wide to the right this time. Lawrence goes in motion to that side. Back to pass goes Soggy. He looks. He's going to be chased. Now he's going to run around the left side. He's out to the 10, to the 15, and to the 17-yard line. Comes Steve Soggy. Martin is over there, along with Chuck Lauk and Mike McGill to make the stop for Notre Dame.
Beautiful watch some of these linemen, how they pick up their passer when he's trapped back there. Mike Scarface came back and threw a honey of a block on Mike McCoy of the Irish that flipped McCoy up into the air to continue with the play.
It's 3rd down and 2 now at the Southern Cal 17-yard line as Lawrence goes in motion to the right. Back to pass goes Soggy. He throws out here, and it's incomplete. At the 20-yard line, that's pass intended for Jim Lawrence. Right over there with him for Notre Dame was Tom Shane and Jim Smithberger. 4th down situation for Southern Cal. The ball at their own 17-yard line, and Aldridge comes in to kick for Southern Cal. Simpson for Southern Cal thus far has carried 8 times for only 16 yards. Aldridge standing back at his 5-yard line. There's the snap. Kick is away. It's coming to Shane at his own 45. He's back to the 50, to the 45, to the 40, and is he hit at the 40-yard line? Tommy Shane returns that kick 15 yards. Dan Scott, the fullback for Southern California, made the tackle. The ball is spotted at the Southern Cal 39-yard line.
Later score on the Navy-Syracuse game at the half, it is Navy 17, Syracuse 7. Here at Notre Dame Stadium, it is 0-0.
We're in second quarter action here at Notre Dame Stadium, and it appears that neither clock now is working in the stadium. So we would guesstimate there's approximately 10 minutes left in the first half.
I'm chuckling, Jim, because in the first 5 minutes of this game, it looked like we were going to have a game among the officials out there. There were so many calls of penalties, and now we have neither clock working, and so there's quite a discussion going on in the field. We have to have some official timing of this football game. The official actually has gone off the field and has picked up a headset on the side here. We don't get too much of a chance to pick up cheers. Let's hear the Notre Dame crowd. The Fighting Irish of Notre Dame and the Trojans of Southern California just sitting out there like an anxious bride at the church waiting for something to happen. And we still have this situation with the clocks down here. Let's hope it gets resolved and quickly. At the half, Maine 0, New Hampshire 10. At the first half, Villanova and the Quantico Marines. It's the Quantico Marines 10 and Villanova 7. Howard Wirtz coming back onto the field, so maybe we will get some action underway. We have mentioned quite frequently that it is a beautiful day here this afternoon. Sunny and mild, the temperature about 68 degrees, and I'm handed a score that Midwestern fans will be interested in. Indiana 7, Iowa 3 at the first quarter.
And Frank, we're happy to hear that our servicemen overseas will be listening to the game today, brought to them along the worldwide facilities of Armed Forces Radio. So there's plenty of action here, and I'm sure they're interested in it. When action starts again, it'll be Notre Dame's football, 1st and 10 at the Southern California 39-yard line. If you joined us late in this football game, it's 0-0 with approximately 10 minutes left in the second quarter. Out of the huddle now come the Irish. It's 1st and 10 at the Southern Cal 39-yard line. Terry Hanratty gets the ball. He goes back to pass, throws down the center, and it's complete. A great catch by Gladjo at the 25-yard line. Bill Jurancic was right with him that time. A gain of 14 yards. The ball is spotted at the 26. It's another first down for Notre Dame. Seymour and Blyer are split to the left, Gladjo to the right. Zimmerman, the lone running back, 1st and 10 from the 26. Back to pass, goes Hanratty, goes to the right, throws down the center, and it's incomplete. Almost caught by Rocky Blyer, but a great defensive play that time by Jim Snow. Tough defense out there, Frank. Those Southern California football players were all over Captain Rocky Blyer that time, who going into the ball game had already caught 12 passes, good for 149. So out of the huddle come the Irish again. It's 2nd down, 10 from the 26-yard line of Southern Cal. Hanratty gets the ball. He goes back to pass, rolling to his left, looks, and he throws over here to the sideline. It's complete to Seymour at the 15-yard line. That'll be another 1st down for Notre Dame. Bill Jurancic made the stop for Southern Cal, a gain of 11 yards on the play. Oh, the Irish are threatening seriously for the first time in this football game. It's 1st and 10 at the Southern Cal 15-yard line, and Hanratty is 4 for 7, good for 46 yards. Seymour to the left this time. Hanratty on the delay play to Gladjo, and he picks up a yard on the play to the 14. Adrian Young making the stop for Southern California.
Young on the tackle.
That'll be 2nd down and 9. The ball at the Southern Cal 14-yard line. Ty Salas comes in at the roverback position, replacing Jerry Shaw for Southern California. Notre Dame up to the line of scrimmage with Blyer split to the left, Seymour to the right. Gladjo and Zimmerman in that backfield. Hanratty back to pass. He's being chased. He throws now. It's complete at the 10 and to the 5, to the 4-yard line. Goes Gladjo. The blitz was on that time. Adrian Young came shooting through the gap. Actually, it was around Terry's ankles, but Hanratty got the pass away, and the Irish are now within striking distance of that Southern Cal goal. The ball just resting inside of the Southern Cal 5-yard line. Willard Scott made the stop that time for Southern Cal, or Gladjo would have been in the end zone. It's 1st down, goal to go. Notre Dame from the Southern Cal 4. Seymour and Blyer are split to the left. Cornetti now in that backfield for Notre Dame with Zimmerman. Hanratty the quarterback. There's the snap. The ball is fumbled by Cornetti, and Southern California recovers. Jim Rosovich recovered for Southern Cal, and there's timeout on the field with the score Notre Dame nothing and Southern Cal nothing.
Before you sign on the dotted line, know what your loan will cost.
Good advice from Household Finance. Before you sign on the dotted line, know what your loan will cost. At HFC, you will, because Household tells you the cost in advance. Household also suggests wherever you plan to borrow, be sure to check the cost. Make certain you're not paying more than you would at HFC. Then call or visit one of the more than 1,500 offices of America's #1 company, Household Finance.
Before you sign on the dotted line, know what your loan will cost.
That's Household Finance.
At Household Finance, you may borrow up to $2,500. You may choose from a wide variety of repayment plans. See your phone book for the Household Finance office nearest you.
9 minutes remaining in this football game. And you know, it's amazing. You take the scoreboard clocks so much for granted that it's one of those things that you just don't realize that you can be lost without. But now, with 9 minutes remaining, Southern Cal has taken the ball and ready to put it into play.
It's 1st and 10, Southern Cal from their own 7-yard line. McCullough is slid wide to the right. Lawrence now goes in motion to the right. There's the snap. The handoff to the fullback, Scott. And he's out to the 9-yard line over left tackle. An interception by Southern Cal and a recovered fumble now have stopped two Notre Dame drives. One at the 9-yard line and the recovered fumble now at the 7-yard line. A 2-yard gain on that play by Scott. It's 2nd down and 8 with the ball now at the Southern Cal 9-yard line. Tight formation this time. On the wing to the right is Jim Lawrence. There's the snap. Back to pass goes Soggy. He throws out. Here it's intercepted by Smithberger at the 20. He cuts to his left to the 15, the 10, the 5, and fights his way to the 2-yard line. Smithberger wanted to score so badly that time. Kevin Hardy was leading the way trying to make a block for him, and Smithberger ran up his back trying to push him out of there to make room. But the Irish have turned the event of this game now as Smithberger returned 22 yards with that intercepted pass to give the Irish first and 10 at the Southern Cal 2-yard line. Gladio comes off the bench. And it's a happy bunch beneath us here on the Notre Dame side of this field. Irish out of the huddle now. Split to the right, Gladio and Seymour. First and goal to go from the Southern California 2-yard line. Hanratty keeps the ball, rolls to the right himself. Touchdown, Notre Dame. Rocky Bleier made such a beautiful fake that time that 3 Trojans tackled him in the middle of the line as Terry Hanratty went skirting his own right end, and this crowd is going wild. Attempt the extra point for Notre Dame after that 2-yard run around right end by Terry Hanratty for the score. Hanratty will hold the football. There's the snap. The ball is spotted. It's up in the air, and it's good. Notre Dame has a 7-0 lead with approximately 8 minutes remaining in the first half of this football game. Jim Smithberger set up the touchdown with an intercepted pass at the Southern Cal 22-yard line. He returned it to the Southern Cal 2, and on the first play from scrimmage, Terry Hanratty rolled to the right, went into the end zone for the score. In a game such as this, the breaks are almost as important as the efforts by the ball players. Notre Dame looked like they were going to have easy sailing going in for a score. A fumble, Southern Cal recovered. And Southern Cal trying to fight out from the shadow of their own goal line. Had Smithberger intercept a Trojan pass, put the Irish into scoring position, and Hanratty took care of matters from that point on. So now, Notre Dame leading in this football game 7-0. We have some other scores. Penn State 28, Boston College nothing at the quarter. Third quarter score, Yale 21, Brown nothing. At the half, Idaho 12, Montana nothing. At the half, Cornell 28, Princeton 6. First quarter score, Auburn 9, Clemson 7. At the half, Toledo 19, Bowling Green nothing. First half score, Penn State 43, Boston College 8. And at the third quarter, Rutgers and Delaware. It's Delaware 15, Rutgers 14. Notre Dame ready to kick off. Here again, Jimmy. Mazzaro to kick for Notre Dame. There it is. It's high. Coming down to Lawrence at the 20-yard line. He reverses his field, goes wide to the right this time, gets away from one tackler, a second tackler, and he's out to the 30-yard line. Boy, look at the speed that boy has. Jim Lawrence, between Jim Lawrence, Earl McCullough, and O.J. Simpson, Southern California have 3 boys that run the 100-yard dash in about 9.5 seconds. Lawrence that time was brought down at the 31-yard line by Jim Smithberger after a return of 11 yards. So SC has the football at their own 31-yard line, first and 10. As McCullough is split wide to the left this time. Lawrence is on the wing to the right. Soggy, the quarterback, hands the ball to Simpson on the reverse. He's out to the 32-yard line. Bob Kuchenberg and Kevin Hardy were there to make the stop for Notre Dame. At the 32, a gain of a yard on the play. It'll be 2nd and 9. Defensively for Notre Dame, we have Kuchenberg, McCoy, Hardy, and Chuck Lauck. Out of the huddle now is Southern Cal. There's the snap with 2nd and 9 from the 32. Soggy goes back. He slipped and fell at the 23-yard line. Let's pause now for station identification.
This is KABC Radio Los Angeles, 79 on your dial, the world's first ombudsman station. Here to cut the red tape between you and your government.
A loss on that play of about 9 yards. With the ball at the 23. And we have the officials coming over to the near side of the field now for a discussion. We're having problems with that clock. And we'll find out what the problem is right now. As the official, referee Howie Wirtz, comes to the Notre Dame side and goes into the dugout. We have no official time on the clocks at either end of the Notre Dame stadium. I can imagine there are several electricians working like gremlins someplace in the bowels of this stadium trying to repair those clocks. It's most unusual that both of them would go out, but that's the situation here. And in case you joined us late, Notre Dame just scored on a keeper by Hanratty about a minute and a half ago. Azzaro made the point after try successful, and Notre Dame leads 7-0. Action about to be resumed on the field as Southern Cal has the ball. Third down, and here's Jim.
Third down and 18, Frank, at the Southern Cal 23-yard line. Steve Soggy is the quarterback for SC. There's the snap. He's back to pass. Rolls to his left. He's throwing deep this time for McCullough. And then what an interception by Martin at the 45 of Notre Dame. He fumbles the ball, but Smithburger has it. A one-handed interception by Dave Martin. And that's Martin's third interception of the year.
If he hadn't picked it off, O'Leary was waiting for it too. So either one of them could have had it. Actually, one of those things, had O'Leary picked it off, I think he would have had better footing and might have gone further downfield. But it matters not. The Irish have the ball.
It's Notre Dame's football. First and 10 from their own 44-yard line. Hanratty gets the ball. He goes back to pass. He looks over the center. It's intercepted by Adrian Young at the 40 of Southern Cal. He's back to the 45, the 50, in Notre Dame territory to the 40, and knocked out of bounds at about the 37-yard line by Rocky Blyer, the captain of Notre Dame.
That's one of the few times I think that you'll ever see Hanratty throw a soft pass. Usually he rifles that ball. He saw Seymour coming across the field and just lobbed it to him, and the defender, Young, was waiting for it.
And that's Adrian Young's second interception in this football game, and he returned it 23 yards to the Notre Dame 37-yard line. It's first and 10 SC. McCullough is on the split to the left. Back to pass goes Soggy. He looks. He's being chased. Gets away from one tackler, another tackler. He's going to run. He's down to the 30, the 25, and knocked out of bounds at the Notre Dame 19-yard line. On the far side of the field, in on that stop for Notre Dame was Mike McCoy.
There's no doubt about it, this Soggy can run. That was a broken pass play for sure. And he picked up the yardage downfield to where now Southern Cal is threatening that football just inside the Notre Dame 20-yard line.
A gain of almost 14 yards on that run by Steve Soggy. The ball is inside the 20 of Notre Dame, and Southern Cal takes the timeout.
Things are improving. The scoreboard at least has been clocking up first down and the yardage and the situation, but we don't have the clock itself working yet. It's confusing to say the least. Notre Dame 7, Southern Cal nothing, and it says third quarter up there. I think we're still in the first half, aren't we, Jim?
That we are, Frank, and I'm sure that down on the field that Southern California's quarterback, along with Notre Dame's captain, is continually asking referee Howie Wirtz the correct time because the official time is kept on the field. Soggy over talking to head coach Johnny McKay of Southern California. He returns now to his teammates. When action gets underway, it'll be first and 10 Southern Cal. The ball inside the Notre Dame 20-yard line.
Some more scores. Third quarter score, Dartmouth 20, Penn nothing. Third quarter score, Virginia 6, Duke nothing. First quarter score, Kansas State and Iowa State, nothing and nothing.
Frank will guess now and say there's probably about 6 minutes left in the first half of this football game as Southern Cal comes out of the huddle. First and 10 from the Notre Dame 19. McCullough is split to the left. Lawrence now in motion to the left for SC. Soggy gets the ball, hands to his fullback. Scott, he fumbles the ball. Notre Dame recovers.
Boy, the way he was hit, that football just went squirting up in the air. And it looks like McCoy, 77, getting out from under. He must have been the one to come up with that football. Simpson came dancing off the field like maybe he had a part of it too. And the Irish again have cause for elation as they have stopped Southern Cal's drive. Take possession of that ball at their own 18 where it is 1st and 10.
A hard-hitting football game as Notre Dame comes out of the huddle now. Seymour and Gladjo are split to the right. It's 1st and 10 from the 18. Hanratty keeps the ball. He rolls to his right now, gets away from one tackler, but not that second tackler as he's dragged down back at the 13-yard line by Tim Rosevich, the left defensive end for Southern California.
Fine pursuit by Rosevich as he followed Hanratty right along until he could make the move and drop him there at the 13-yard line. A loss of about 5 on the play.
Notre Dame huddled back at their own 3-yard line. They're out of the huddle now. A loss of 5 on that play. It's 2nd and 15. The ball at the Notre Dame 13. Seymour split to the left. Gladjo is flanked to the right. The handoff goes to Blyer right up the center, and he's to the 15-yard line. Adrian Young is right there to make the stop, along with Gary Magner, the right defensive tackle for Southern California. Out of the game now for SC comes Ty Salness. He's replaced at Roverback by Jerry Shaw. These boys continually come in and out of that football game, so it's possible that Coach Johnny McKay is calling each defensive signal. A gain of 2 on the play. It's 3rd and 13. The ball now at the Notre Dame 15. Seymour split wide to the left along with Captain Rocky Blyer. There's the snap. Back to pass goes Hanratty. He's rushed. He's looking. Now he throws, and it's intercepted. At the 35-yard line, down to the 30, goes Jurancic. He's down to the 20, but there's a flag on the play. I believe there's going to be an interference call against Southern California's Mike Battle on Bob Gladjo. If that's the case, it will remain Notre Dame's football. That's exactly what it is. Notre Dame keeps possession. It'll be a first down for the Irish.
That's a big break for Notre Dame because that's another one of those pass plays that were broken up and busted play, actually. It would have been better, in this reporter's opinion, had Hanratty eaten that football, but with his pass interference call, the Irish get the benefit.
Automatic first down for Notre Dame. The ball now is at the 34-yard line as Paul Snow comes in the game for Rocky Blyer. Let's spot that ball at the Notre Dame 33, where it's 1st and 10. Snow is split wide to the left this time. Seymour to the right. The running backs are Gladjo and Zimmerman. Hanratty's the quarterback. There's the snap. It's the draw play to Zimmerman, and he gets to the 35. Dennis Crane, the left defensive tackle, was not fooled that time and was able to bring Zimmerman down right at the 35-yard line, a gain of 2.
First half score, Tennessee 17, Georgia Tech nothing.
It's 2nd down and 8. The ball at the Notre Dame 35. Seymour is to the left along with Snow this time. The handoff goes to Gladjo around the right side. He's out to the 38-yard line. Gary Magner was in on the stop, along with Jim Snow. 4 yards on the play. The ball is now at the 39-yard line. And we have another official timeout. And I believe it's a 2-minute warning. Hard to see how many fingers the referee. It looks like 4 fingers now.
Maybe the band knows something, Jim. They're starting to assemble at the north end of the field. And in case you think we've all gone crazy down here and haven't heard, the clocks, the both ends of the field are not working. So we're kind of getting the word relayed up to us exactly how much time there is remaining in the first half. One thing we do know, Notre Dame leads 7-0, and they have possession of the football.
And it's 3rd and 4 at the Notre Dame 39-yard line. Zimmerman back there. Hanratty goes back to pass now. Throws out here, and it's knocked down by Rosevich again. The second time in this football game that he's deflected a Terry Hanratty pass. So that'll bring up the 4th down situation, 4th and 4 at the Notre Dame 39, and a punting situation for the Irish. Tim Monty will come in to center that ball. Steve Quinn comes out.
Back deep for Southern California goes Mike Battle, their safety man. Bob Gladjo will be kicking for Notre Dame. He's standing back at his own 26-yard line. There's the snap. It's a good one. Gladjo gets the kick away. It'll be Battle at the 28-yard line to the 30. And he's brought down back at the 26-yard line on a great defensive play by Paul Snow.
That was all the more greater because Snow actually was nearly clipped on the play and still got up and made the tackle on the runner. 33 yards on that kick, and now Southern Cal has the ball. We'd like to urge you to stay with us at halftime because with the fast-changing events in our world today, ABC Radio has inaugurated a new policy this year of bringing a newscast midway between our halftime intermission so you can keep up on sports and the latest world events at the same time.
1st and 10 at the Southern Cal 26-yard line. Sagi goes back. He throws long here, and it is incomplete. At the 46-yard line, the pass was intended for Earl McCullough. John Pergine was back there right with him along with Tom Shane. Steve Sagi, the quarterback, really got wrapped that time by Chuck Lauk just after he threw the football. It'll be 2nd down, still 10 yards to go. Southern California, the ball at their 26-yard line. Earl McCullough and Jim Lawrence, both to the right side this time. There's the snap. Simpson gets the football. He's to the 30, to the 35. Fights his way to the 40 and to the 43-yard line. O.J. Simpson, and fellas, we've told you about him before. Going into this football game, he was the nation's leading rusher. He had gained 602 yards on 112 carries.
That speed of Southern Cal is really something. The Irish linebackers and cornermen have really had to move to keep up with that, the defensive maneuver, or rather the offensive maneuvering by Southern Cal. While time is out on the field, here's some more scores. Oklahoma 7, Texas nothing. That's a first quarter score. Western Michigan and Kent State are tied up 7-7 after 3 quarters. North Carolina State 17, Maryland 3 at the end of 3 quarters.
Simpson picks up 16 yards on that last play, going from the 26 to the 42. Dave Martin over on the sidelines talking to defensive coach Johnny Ray. There appears to be about 3 minutes remaining in the first half as we get the signal from the official down on the field. If you joined us late, both clocks at Notre Dame Stadium are out of order now, and also if you joined us late, Notre Dame has the lead in this football game by the score of 7-0. Simpson for Southern California has carried 10 times now, good for 34 yards. Out of the huddle out comes SC. 1st and 10 from their own 42. McCullough and Lawrence are both to the right. Back to pass goes Sagi, gets good protection, throws real long this time for McCullough, and he catches the ball out of bounds at the 18-yard line. Right with him, Smithberger and Shane that time. Going for the long one was Steve Sagi, the Southern California quarterback. Bob Klein comes in at tight end for SC, replacing Bob Miller. Ball still at the 42, 2nd and 10, Southern Cal. As both McCullough and Lawrence come to the left this time, with Lawrence in the slot to that side. And off goes to Simpson this time, gets away from one tackler. He's got some speed to the 45 and knocked out of bounds at the 50 and knocked right into the typewriter, telephone, and everything else on the Notre Dame side of the field by Bob Olson. He was not about to let O.J. Simpson have any more running room as they now replace the typewriter along with the other various paraphernalia here on the Notre Dame sideline.
What do you substitute for a typewriter?
That I don't know, Frank, but I do know the ball is at the 48.5-yard line now of Southern Cal.
We got a smart director. He says an adding machine.
It's 3rd down and 3. We'll call the ball at the 49. Sagi now gets the ball. He goes back to pass. He throws out here in the right flat. It's complete to Lawrence at the 45 of Notre Dame, and he's knocked out of bounds on the far side of the field by Mike McGill, and that will be enough for a first down, and it'll also stop the clock.
Generically speaking, we stop the clock. We haven't had a clock here for some time.
By that, Frank, I meant the official clock.
Well, we're all All right, folks. Notre Dame's still leading 7-0, and Southern Cal has the ball.
And they have it at the Notre Dame 43. First and 10, Simpson with the ball up the middle, and he's met by McGill right at the line of scrimmage. Well, the PA man says here that Simpson gained 1 yard, so we'll go along with that. Call it 2nd and 9. The ball now at the Notre Dame 42. Saki goes back to pass, throws to McCullough. It's incomplete at the 26-yard line. Jim Smithberger right with Earl McCullough that time.
Great move by McCullough. He went down, zigged in, and then zigged out. And it had to be one of those passes in which everything is timed. The pass itself was good, but it's just a little bit beyond the outstretched arms of the receiver. That brings up a 3rd down. And again, McKay sends in a player from the sidelines, obviously bringing in the play to quarterback Sagi.
And that's Bob Klein coming in at the tight end position, Frank. And it's 3rd and 9 with the ball at the 42 of Notre Dame. McCullough is split to the left this time. Single coverage by Tom O'Leary. Now Dave Martin comes out to help. In motion comes Lawrence. Back to pass goes Sagi. He throws. Simpson drops the ball at the 40. O.J. Simpson had that ball at the Notre Dame 40 and dropped it.
Simpson so fast, even when he doesn't make a successful play, he looks good. 3rd quarter score, Purdue has added another 6 points. Purdue 41, Ohio State nothing. That's after 3 quarters.
Tom Quinn comes in defensively for Notre Dame, replacing Tom O'Leary. Ricky Aldrich is in to punt now for Southern California. Quinn and Shane go back in the safety positions for Notre Dame. There's the snap, kind of wobbly. However, he gets the kick away. Aim for the sideline. Fair catch by Shane, but he lets it go into the end zone. So it'll be a touchback and bring the ball out to the 20-yard line. Notre Dame leads in this football game 7-0 if you joined us late. There are approximately, I would guess, a minute to a minute and a half remaining in the first half. A 42-yard kick that time by Ricky Aldrich. Irish out of the huddle now. 1st and 10 from their own 20. Gladjo and Seymour go to the right this time for the Irish. Zimmerman and Crenity are now the setbacks. There's the snap. Zimmerman gets the ball up the center to the 25, to the 30, and dropped at the 30-yard line by Jim Gunn.
Jeff Zimmerman, just a sophomore from Orangeburg, Pennsylvania, is a young man you're going to hear a lot of in the next 3 years, Notre Dame football-wise. 19 years old, 6'1", 205 pounds.
And the referee moves the ball back about a half a yard, so it'll be 2nd and a half a yard to go. The ball at the 29 and a half. Hanratty keeps the ball, and he is hit immediately for about a 3-yard loss. The stop was made by Tony Terry that time, who met Hanratty just after he got the football and moved it back to the 26-yard line. A loss of 3 on the play. It will be 3rd and 4. Seymour and Gladjo are split wide to the right for Notre Dame. Terry Hanratty gets the ball, hands it to Crenity, and he is short of the first down, moving it out to about the 28. So it'll be a 4th down situation.
Jim, I think we have just about 1 minute remaining in this first quarter, if I can read hand signals down there on the field. Notre Dame leading 7-0. The Irish have possession of that football. At the half, Wisconsin 3, Pittsburgh nothing. Halftime score, Iowa State 7, Kansas State nothing. Boston College and Penn State, it's Penn State 50, Boston College 8, third quarter score. And at the half, Richmond 21, Furman 7.
Tim Monty comes into the football game now. He'll be doing the centering on the punt situation for Notre Dame. The ball is at the 27.5-yard line. I'm told that officially there's a minute and 20 seconds left in the first half. Mike Battle will be going back deep for Southern California. We've had 2 kickers this afternoon for Notre Dame. One has been Bob Gladjo, the other Rocky Blyer, the captain. And we'll see who it is this time. It's going to be Gladjo standing at the Notre Dame 15-yard line. Mike Battle is back at the SC 30.
7-3. Notre Dame leads with seconds left here in the first half. There's the snap. Gladjo gets the kick away. It's short this time. However, it is high, bouncing over on the far side of the field and going out of bounds in the vicinity of the 45-yard line of Notre Dame. A 21-yard kick that time. And the ball is spotted now at the 47. Southern California out of the huddle. They have possession of the football in Notre Dame territory at the 47. Earl McCullough split to the left. Jim Lawrence is flanked to the right. Soggy goes back to pass. He's got the time. He throws long this time for McCullough. And it's incomplete at the 10-yard line. Back defending for Notre Dame was Tom O'Leary. And these Notre Dame defensive backs, watching them perform this afternoon, they're very much aware of the speed of Earl McCullough and Jim Lawrence, and they're back deep every time these boys appear to be going long. Coming in the football game now is Bob Miller at the tight end position for Bob Klein. For Southern Cal, it's 2nd and 10, the ball at the Notre Dame 47. Lawrence flanks to the right. Earl McCullough is split to the left. Steve Soggy gets the ball. He goes back to pass again, and he throws again for McCullough, and it is intercepted by O'Leary. He's to the 40, to the 50, to the 40 of Southern Cal, down to the 30, and knocked down at the 19-yard line. A return of 52 yards for Tom O'Leary. He picked that ball right out of the hands of Earl McCullough at the Notre Dame 30 and moved it down to the 18-yard line of Southern Cal. Notre Dame takes the timeout to stop that clock. We're guessing that there's less than a minute remaining in the first half. Notre Dame has possession of the ball with the ball at the 18-yard line of the Trojans. Big interception that time by Tom O'Leary. That's his first of this year. There's the snap. Hanratty goes back to pass. He's looking long. He throws. Seymour's got it at the 8. He's knocked down immediately by Jerry Shaw, the rover back for Southern California.
Hanratty ran up there immediately, indicating that he wanted a timeout called. And as best we're trying to keep it up here, we have about 10 seconds remaining in this first half. Notre Dame leading 7-0. Timeout on the field. And while we have that timeout, let's bring you up to date on what scores we have. Third quarter, Villanova 34, the Quantico Marines 10. At the half, Lafayette 10, Washington and Lee nothing. At the half, Illinois nothing, Minnesota nothing. I'd like to remind you again that during halftime here at Notre Dame, ABC Radio will bring you the latest news of world and national happenings, and we will have Moose Krause in here as our guest to discuss some of the future fortunes of the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, who seem to be doing quite handsomely, thank you, thus far. 7-0, but there's still another big football half to be played in this game, and perhaps the Irish can knock up another 7 points. They have 7-0 on the scoreboard right now. Hanratty is 7 for 13 for a total of 74 yards. Action about to be resumed on the field. Here again, Jim Morse.
The ball is spotted right at the 10-yard line now of Southern California. It'll be 2nd down and 2 for Notre Dame. Seymour and Paul Snow are split wide to the right this time. Hanratty gets the football, goes back to pass. He's got plenty of time. Now throws it. Intercepted again by Adrian Young. And what a football game this young man has played this afternoon for Southern California. That's his 3rd interception of the football game.
That pass play from Hanratty to Young is the best pass play of the afternoon.
He's caught more than anyone else, Frank.
Have a final score. Yale beat Brown today, 35-0. And we'd like to remind you the clock is stopped here at Notre Dame. The clocks are not working, but we assume there are just seconds remaining in the first half as Southern Cal takes over their own 20.
1st and 10 from the Southern Cal 20. Steve Soggy calls the signals. It's the draw play to Simpson, and he'll be out to about the 23-yard line before he's dumped
by the center of that Notre Dame line. In on the stop, Pregame, Kevin Hardy, Dave Martin. And that's it. That's the end of the first half with the score. Notre Dame 7 and Southern California nothing.
KABC Los Angeles, the world's first ombudsman station. KABC time now 5 minutes past 1. Another half of thrilling Notre Dame football coming up, followed by national, international news. And then at about 2 o'clock this afternoon, you'll hear the KABC Open Line with your host, Jack Wells. News and sports on KABC Radio. Now back to South Bend, Indiana for more football.
Welcome back to the second half of the Southern California Notre Dame football game. Brought to you by State Farm Mutual, the biggest car insurance company there is, and B.F. Goodrich, the straight talk tire people. This is Frank Sweeney again at halftime, where the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame lead Southern Cal by just that slimmest of margins, a 7-0 lead at halftime. Interesting to note on the statistics, total offensive net yards gained. This is an oddity in itself. Notre Dame 139 yards, Southern Cal 139 yards. In first downs, things are pretty even. Notre Dame 7, Southern Cal 6. Times carrying the ball, Notre Dame 22, Southern Cal 23. Yards gained rushing, Notre Dame 65, Southern Cal 82. Notre Dame has thrown 13 passes, Southern Cal 15. The Irish completing 6, Southern Cal 5. Each team has had 3 passes intercepted. Total yards gained on passes, 74 to 59 in favor of Notre Dame. Yards gained passing, 74 to 57 over Southern Cal. Notre Dame has punted 4 times for an average of 33 yards. Southern Cal has punted 3 times for 36 yards. Leading rushers so far for Notre Dame, Zimmerman carrying the ball 7 times for 22 yards, a net of 19 yards. Gladio carried 5 times for 22 yards gained. Simpson has been the big one for Southern Cal, but not too big at that. 14 carries, total of 22 yards, 1 yard loss, so make that a net of 21. Hanratty has completed 6 passes of 13, as we mentioned. Sagi has completed 5 of 15. Get a Trojan for the Gipper is a big sign that the kids have down here. Signs crop up all over the place. Over there, as Moose Krause was talking about the new fieldhouse complex that Notre Dame has, the steelworkers have put a sign up on top. I can't quite make it out, but I think it says something like, "Go you Notre Dame, the Allied Steelworkers of America." And somebody named Bob looks like he's autographed it over there at the end. On the field, the students of Notre Dame have formed that familiar aisle for the Irish to return to their bench. And while we have a moment, we'll bring you up to date on some of the other scores. Here's a final. Rutgers 29, Delaware 21. A final, Western Michigan 16, Kent State 7. Final, Dartmouth 23, Penn nothing. Third quarter, Navy 20, Syracuse 7. At the half, BMI 14, the Citadel 3. At the half, Auburn 26, Clemson 21. First quarter score, Air Force nothing, North Carolina nothing. Third quarter score, Cornell 34, Princeton 6. Third quarter, Kansas 7, Nebraska nothing. Third quarter, Buffalo 6, Boston University nothing. Third quarter score, Harvard 37, Columbia 6. At the half, Kansas 7, Nebraska nothing. And at the half, Florida State 7, South Carolina nothing. And now, listen to this word from State Farm.
Hi, I'm Phil Foster. Even as a kid, Big Shermy was about a foot too wide for the sidewalks of New York. So he never went in much for a ring of Rosie. And when he tripped the light fantastic, brother, that was like some kind of fantastic. Well, when we played war, everybody wanted Big Shermy on their side. To be the tank. Anyway, I seen him the other day with his head bandaged and his arm in a sling. I said, "Hey, Big Sherm, what happened?" He said, "Oh, I hit a truck going through an intersection. I bashed in the side of it something awful." I said, "What about your car? You got it insured by State Farm Mutual, I hope." State Farm's the biggest car insurance company there is, with low rates and friendly agents all over the place. Big Shermy said, "Yeah, I got my car insured with State Farm, but that didn't do me any good when I bashed into the side of that truck." I said, "Why not?" He said, 'cause I wasn't driving my car, Philly. I was walking.
Frank Sweeney and Jim Morse on the scene at Notre Dame, where the Fighting Irish, ready to resume the second half, have a 7-0 lead over Southern Cal. Our halftime guest today was Ed Moose Krause, the athletic director at the University of Notre Dame, and we'd like to give Ed the State Farm Road Atlas, which has complete touring information. You might be interested in that too. Stop in and see your State Farm man. Well, it looks like we have the clock working at the north end of the field, and the fans are certainly in good working voice as they welcome the Notre Dame Fighting Irish back to the field as we prepare for the second half kickoff. The clock at the north end of the field is working, so at least we're halfway home. The clock at the south end doesn't seem to be working just yet. But if the Irish, with that front four, can contain Southern Cal's speed in this second half, the Irish may walk away with the victory. However, we say may because this is one of those games that could turn out to be an explosive one, where the big break will make the difference. Notre Dame threatened again in the closing moments of the first half when it looked like the Irish of old would have scored. This team did not. That is not a criticism of the ball club. It's just the way the ball game has gone. But if Simpson were to get loose for Southern Cal, it could cause quite a bit of consternation with Ara Parsegian and his assistant coaches down here on the sideline. Southern Cal slowly making its way back onto the field at the north end. On the west sidelines, here at Notre Dame Stadium, by the way, the broadcast booths are high in the west stands. The field, like so many stadia throughout the country, runs from north to south, with the visitors' bench across the way. The turf is excellent today. The sun is shining fine, and the Notre Dame fans have something at the moment to cheer about with that 7-0 lead. At midfield, umpire referee Howie Wirtz is ready to put this ball into play as soon as these two 11s get down here. And meanwhile, more scores come in. Third quarter, New Hampshire 17, Maine nothing. Third quarter, Idaho 12, Montana nothing. First period, Missouri and Colorado. It's Colorado 9, Missouri 7. And a final, North Carolina State beat Maryland by a 31-10 score. Action about to be resumed now as the Irish get in that tight huddle around their head coach, Ara Parsegian. And across the way, Johnny McKay and his Trojans of Southern Cal ready to resume this second half. Packed crowd, as always, here at Notre Dame Stadium. While we have a moment, we'd like to remind you that your ABC microphones will be in Champaign, Illinois next Saturday to pick up the Notre Dame-Illinois game. Looking forward to that, Jim. Down at Champaign, they have a fine new press box. They needed one.
Right you are, Frank. It'd be nice to be down there. Notre Dame will be receiving. Defending the goal to our left, which is the north goal. Southern Cal will kick off, defend the goal to our right, the south goal. Tim Rosevich will be kicking off for Southern California. Going back deep now for Notre Dame is Zimmerman, Gladjo, and Rocky Blyer. Chuck Landolfi stands about the 20-yard line. You joined us late. Notre Dame has the lead in this football game as we enter second half action. The score is 7 for Notre Dame. Southern Cal, nothing. There's the kick by Rosevich. It's short this time. Taken by Landolfi and fumbled at the 20-yard line. The ball is bounding around. Let's see. Notre Dame has it, I believe. Just a moment. There's a big pileup at about the 18-yard line. And Southern California has the football at the Notre Dame 17-yard line. That kickoff was kind of a squib off the side of the foot of Tim Rosevich, the kickoff man for Southern Cal. Chuck Landolfi tried to field it on the far side of the field, could not hang on to it, and Southern Cal has the football, 1st and 10 at the Notre Dame. Let's make it the 18-yard line. All right, out of the huddle now. And asking for quiet is quarterback Steve Soggy of Southern California. Earl McCullough split way to the left this time. On the flank to the right, on the wing to the right, I should say, is Jim Lawrence. Simpson and Scott in the backfield. In motion comes Lawrence to the left. The handoff goes to Simpson over right tackle. He's inside the 15-yard line, just over the 15-yard line. Making a stop was Kuchenberg, McGill, Smithberger, and Pregame.
At halftime, we were alluding to the fact that maybe a big break in this ball game could make the difference. I didn't think that it would happen so quickly. With Southern Cal having that ball at the 15-yard line, if they can continue, this could be a big one for them.
2nd down and 7 for Southern Cal. The ball just inside the Notre Dame 15-yard line. McCullough is split to the left. Lawrence goes in motion now to the left. Soggy keeps the ball himself. Is hit after a gain of about a yard. Bob Olson, the sophomore linebacker from Superior, Wisconsin, makes the stop, and the ball is spotted again right at the line of scrimmage. No gain on the play. Bob Miller. Bob Miller in the ball game. Earl McCullough goes out. It's 3rd and 7. The ball at the Notre Dame 15-yard line. Everyone in tight this time. There's the pitch back to Simpson going around the right side. He's to the 10, to the 5, and out of bounds at about the 4-yard line. Tommy Shane making the stop for Notre Dame, but that'll be a first down.
Simpson's not only fast, but he fights for that additional yardage on the sweep that time with good blockers ahead of him. Shane was the only one who could contain him, and he carried Shane for a couple of yards before he was hauled down at the 4.
First down, goal to go. Southern California, the ball at the Notre Dame 4-yard line, and Steve Soggy once again calls for quiet. Tommy Shane, Tom O'Leary also calling now for quiet. That Notre Dame student body likes to hoop it up a little bit. Southern California's ball, 1st and goal to go from the Notre Dame 4. There's the snap, the handoff. Goes to number 32, Simpson, and he stops out around the right side about the 8-yard line. Pergine, McGill, Kuchenberg, and Martin all in on the stop for Notre Dame. It'll be a loss of 4 yards. Great pursuit that time on the part of Notre Dame. Everybody was after O.J. Simpson. It's 2nd goal to go. The ball at the 8 of Notre Dame. I formation in the backfield. Soggy, the quarterback. There's the snap. Simpson over left tackle. He's to the 5, inside the 5 to the 3-yard line. Jim Smithberger making a stop for Notre Dame. So, Simpson loses 4, picks up 5. The ball is at the Notre Dame 3. Simpson averages about 30 carries a game for the Southern California Trojans, and when the going gets tough, that's the boy they give the football to. So let's see what happens now. It's 3rd down, and the ball is spotted at the 2. Goal to go. Handoff goes in there to Simpson. He's to the 1. I don't believe he's got the touchdown. Let's see. He's going to be a little bit short. O.J. Simpson cracks in there, and McCoy stops him, along with Kevin Hardy. What do you do now? You trail 7-0. You have the ball at the 1-yard line, and there's 12-11 remaining in the 3rd period. Out of the huddle comes Southern California. Big play for the Trojans. And Soggy again asks for quiet. Lawrence on the wing to the right. Soggy, the quarterback, hands off to his fullback again. He's in the end zone. Touchdown, Southern Cal. O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson into the air over left tackle that time and into the end zone for Southern Cal. He was flipped up into the air, but he was flipped toward the goal line rather than back toward the playing field, and therein lies the difference. And now Notre Dame 7, Southern Cal 6. Aldridge in to attempt the extra point for Southern California. There's the snap. The ball is spotted. It's up in the air, and it's good. The score is 7-7. Now this word from B.F. Goodrich.
When you go to buy tires, all you should really have to do is tell the dealer how you drive and trust him to recommend the tire that suits you best, costs you least. And that's just what B.F. Goodrich tire dealers do with the help of their unique tire calculator. This cardboard device sizes up your driving and points you to the lowest priced tire B.F. Goodrich recommends for the way you drive. Getting the right tire at the right price is that simple. When you see the Straight Talk Tire people, your B.F. Goodrich tire dealer.
Well, we came here expecting a great football game this afternoon, and that's exactly what we're getting, as Notre Dame and Southern California are all tied up 7-7 with 11:54 remaining in the third period. Both teams huddled below us here now. Southern California to our right. They'll be kicking off. Tim Rosovich does the kicking for Southern Cal. Notre Dame to our left. And on the ensuing kickoff in the second half, if you joined us late, Rosovich's kick was a little bit short, fumbled by Notre Dame. Southern California recovered, took it 18 yards into the end zone for the touchdown. And that's the way it is right now, 7-7. As Haley, Gladjo, and Rocky Blyer go back deep for Notre Dame. Tim Rosovich will be kicking off for Notre Dame. Here he comes. There's the boot. End over end this time. Taken at the 18-yard line and fumbled this time by Gladjo, and he falls on it. It'll be Notre Dame's ball.
Well, there'll be some work on kickoff returns this week. 2 in a row there that Notre Dame has kind of made a hodgepodge out of. While we have a moment, some more scores. A final, Purdue 41, Ohio State 6. Final, Villanova 41, Quantico Marine 16. And at the half, Mississippi State leads Southern Mississippi 7-6.
Okay, Frank, it's 1st and 10. Notre Dame from their own 19. Zimmerman right up the middle to about the 23. Gary Magner was the boy that stopped him for Southern California. Gain of 4 on the play. 2nd down, 6. The ball at the Notre Dame 23-yard line. Ty Solness in at Roverback now for Southern California. Seymour split to the right. Blyer to the left. Back to pass goes Hanratty. He looks, he throws. It's too low. Incomplete, intended for Jim Seymour. Bill Jurancic was the Southern California boy defending against Seymour. 3rd down. Still 6 to go. The ball at the Notre Dame 23. Irish out of the huddle now. Jim Weingartner split to the right this time. Seymour and Blyer are to the left. Hanratty goes back to pass. It's out to the left, complete to Gladjo at the 20, and he's brought down immediately out there by Roverback Jerry Shaw. Little or no gain on that play. It'll be a 4th down situation for Notre Dame, and in the ball game at center comes Tim Monty, replacing Steve Quinn. 1-yard loss on the play, so it'll be 4th and 5 and a kicking situation for Notre Dame. Mike Battle goes back as the safety man for the Trojans, standing at his own 38-yard line. And either Gladjo or Blyer will be in to kick for Notre Dame. It's Rocky Blyer. He gets the kick away to the 50. Battle is brought down at the 48-yard line of Notre Dame by the first man, Tom Quinn, who was right down the field to get him. 28-yard kick, 2-yard return.
Quinn's tackle was all the more important because he got away from the defender trying to block him down. He got away from the block and made the tackle. And Southern Cal has that ball now at the Notre Dame 47.
With good field position. 1st and 10 at the Notre Dame 47. McCullough split to the left. Pitch back goes to Simpson. He fumbles the football. But he recovers it at the 48 of Notre Dame. O.J. Simpson took that pitch back and fumbled. There were 3 Notre Dame football players right around him. However, he was able to come up with the football. He lost about a yard.
In other games being played around the country, at the half, Oklahoma 7, Texas nothing. The final, Boston U 20, Buffalo 6. Third quarter score, Florida State 10, South Carolina nothing.
Ball is now spotted at the Notre Dame 49. We'll call it 2nd and 11 as Soggy calls the signals. There's the snap. The handoff goes to Simpson. Again, he's brought down at the 48-yard line. And in a hurry by Olson and Lauf. Third down. Still 11 yards to go for the first down. As into the ball game for Southern Cal comes Bob Miller at tight end, replacing Bob Klein. Trojans out of the huddle now. Lawrence and McCullough are both split to the left with 3rd and 11. Soggy goes back to pass. He looks, throws long, and it is incomplete at the 35-yard line. That pass was intended for Earl McCullough. Defending for Notre Dame was Tom Shane. Well, Ricky Aldridge on his first fourth down situation will be in to kick for SC.
Shane a little unhappy with himself. Shane scampered 34 yards for a touchdown with an interception against Iowa and established an Irish career for touchdowns on interceptions.
Aldridge punting from his own 40-yard line. Shane, in Quinn, fumble on the kick this time. And Aldridge is brought down in Southern California territory at the 48-yard line by John Pregame and Bob Olson. That pass from center was fumbled by Aldridge. He could not get the kick away, and Notre Dame was on top of him. They'll take over at the 48-yard line of Southern Cal. Out of the huddle comes Notre Dame. Rocky Blyer, flank to the left. Jim Seymour is split to the right. There's the snap. Back to pass. Goes Hanratty, and it's incomplete at the 35. The pass was intended for Jim Seymour. Bill Jurancic was over there for Southern California, along with Mike Battle. Saldis comes in at the roverback position, replacing Jerry Shaw. It's second down. The ball at the 48-yard line of Southern Cal. 2nd and 10, Notre Dame. Rocky Blyer to the left, Seymour again to the right. There's the snap. Back to pass goes Hanratty, looking for Seymour again. It's incomplete. Same pass, same maneuver. Same receiver, same defender, and same results. Incomplete. Now,
on the field, we have both Coley O'Brien, and Terry Hanratty.
And O'Brien replaces Gladjo in that backfield. So obviously now, Southern California is going to be looking for the halfback option play, but that may not be what will happen. It's 3rd and 10, the ball at the 48-yard line of Southern California. Seymour is split to the right. Rocky Blyer is flanked to the left. In the backfield, you have O'Brien and Zimmerman. Hanratty is the quarterback. There's the snap. Back to pass goes Hanratty. He looks, he gets away from one tackler. He's being chased. Now throws long to Seymour, and it's incomplete at the 10-yard line. Mike Battle and Bill Jurancic were both back there for Southern California.
Southern Cal changed their strategy a little bit on defending against Seymour. They only had one man on him up at the line where they had in the first half been double teaming him. It was only the deep man that came over to make the two on him there in the long shot. But nonetheless, the pass goes incomplete. The Irish have it 4th down and a punting situation.
Rocky Blyer will be kicking for Notre Dame, standing at his own 40. Mike Battle is back deep for Southern Cal. There's the snap. Rocky gets the kick away. It's a bad one off the right side of his foot. Bouncing at the 20. Battle decides to leave it alone, and it's down at the 23-yard line by Dick Swatland.
While the teams are changing, here's the final score. Cornell 47, Princeton 13. Third quarter, Tennessee 24, Georgia Tech nothing. A final, Harvard 49, Columbia 6. Third quarter score, Richmond 35, Furman 14. Here at Notre Dame, it is 7-7, a tie.
And Southern Cal has the ball, 1st and 10 from their own 23-yard line. McCullough is flanked to the right. Sagi goes back to pass. He looks. He's being chased by Kuchenberg and McCoy. He throws the pass. It's incomplete to Simpson. At the 22-yard line, it was too low. Guarding him very closely anyway was John Pregame for Notre Dame. 8 minutes, 35 seconds remaining in the third quarter. It's all tied up. Southern Cal 7, Notre Dame 7. Sagi is now 5 for 15, good for 59 yards. Southern Cal out of the huddle again. It's 2nd down and 10. The ball at their own 23-yard line. Lawrence to the right, McCullough to the left. I formation in the backfield. Sagi gets the ball, pitches out to Simpson. He cuts in. He's to the 20-yard line, and that's all. He's brought down by Mike McGill. A loss of about 3 yards on the play as Mike McGill, the left inside linebacker, comes in to bring down O.J. Simpson.
In the first half, the Irish front four was doing a fine job containing the passing of Sagi. Here in the second half, they seem to be even more charged up getting in there because they realize if they let the door open, Southern Cal can take advantage.
A loss of 3 yards on the last play. 3rd and 13, the ball at the 20. It's to Simpson again. He's right up the middle to the 24-yard line to pick up the 4, but he'd be way short of the first down. Mike McCoy makes the stop for Notre Dame along with Kevin Hardy. And a reminder that, as always, today's football game is brought to you by B.F. Goodrich, the Straight Talk Tire people, and by State Farm Mutual, the biggest car insurance company there is. Simpson has carried 23 times in the ball game, good for 69 yards. Ricky Aldridge will be in to kick for SC. There's a snap. He gets it away this time. There's a flag on the play. A good long kick this time. Shane all the way back at his own 24-yard line. He's to the 30 and knocked out of bounds at about the 33-yard line. But wait a minute, there's a penalty marker on the play. Southern California is going to be called offside. That'll be Notre Dame's choice. And with that long kick that time, it may be that Notre Dame will elect to take the penalty and make Southern California kick over again.
Jim,
We'll wait and see.
I think the penalty was against Notre Dame. The referee gave the wrong indication, and the linesman came up to advise him of that. Notre Dame was offside. The left end over there didn't quite get back on time before the snap of the ball. This has been a most interesting afternoon with all the calls we've had, the clock stopping, and the referee getting wrong information from his assistant.
Well, let's see what we have, Frank. Then it's going to be declined. The offside penalty was declined by Southern California. They got off a good kick. And Notre Dame will take over. Terry Hanratty is coming in the ball game to quarterback the Irish. It's 1st and 10. Notre Dame with the ball at their own 34-yard line. Seymour and Gladjo split wide to the right this time for the Irish. It's Zimmerman and Blyer, the setbacks for Notre Dame. There's the snap. Blyer gets the football. He's hit and brought down at the 24-yard line. Ralph Oliver was in there in a hurry that time to hit Captain Rocky Blyer. I said the 24, I meant the 34. No gain on the play. It'll be 2nd and 10. The ball still at the 34. And again, Gladjo and Seymour come out wide to the right. Jim Weingartner split a little bit to the left. It's a draw play this time to Zimmerman. He's brought down. Big number 71 in there. Willard Scott, 6'1", 235 pounds for Southern Cal. Loss of about a half a yard on the play.
A final score, Duke 13, Virginia 6. Halftime score, Air Force 7, North Carolina, nothing.
3rd down, still 10 yards to go for Notre Dame. The ball at their own 34-yard line. Blyer to the left, Seymour to the right. Back to pass goes Hanratty, looking over the middle. It's complete to Zimmerman. He's down to the 47-yard line. 1st down for Notre Dame. Jeff Zimmerman catching that pass right over the center of the line.
You know, it's a fan's prerogative, I suppose, to sit here and try to help coach that ball club, but I've been waiting for that pass play all day, the way they've been double-teaming Seymour on the side, and that pass play has worked to good advantage, and now the Irish have opened up that middle.
13 yards on the play. The ball is now at the 47-yard line of Notre Dame. 1st down, 10. Seymour to the right, Blyer to the left this time. There's the snap. Back to pass. Goes Hanratty. Looks over the center, and it is intercepted by Southern California. Jurancic is to the 45, to the 50, down to the 45, and out of bounds at the 41-yard line of Notre Dame. Jurancic picked that pass off. Tom O'Leary was the man covering Earl McCullough. And don't forget, McCullough has 9.5 speed in the 100. And he's flanked out here once again. O'Leary is guarding him. 2nd and 10 from the Notre Dame 42. Pitch back this time to Simpson, trying the right side. He's to the 40. Fights his way down to about the 36-yard line. O.J. Simpson. He carries the ball about 30 times a ball game, and I would guess at the moment he's carried it almost 30 times in this football game. That time before Bob Kuchenberg brought him down along with John Fergine.
He gets good interference ahead of him on that sweep with the guards pulling out and his blockers forming. If they ever start cutting Notre Dame defenders down, he's going to travel.
The ball is just inside the Notre Dame 36-yard line. It's 2nd down and 4. Check that. 3rd down as Sagi gets the ball. Pitches back to Simpson. He's got some room to the 30, to the 20, to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, Southern Cal. O.J. Simpson goes 36 yards for a touchdown. Simpson has now carried the ball 25 times in this football game, good for 110 yards. And we told you about that Southern California speed earlier in this game. That time, O.J. Simpson going 36 yards for a touchdown off left tackle. Ricky Aldrich in to attempt the extra point for Southern Cal. There's the snap. The ball is up in the air, and it's good. The score is Southern California 14, Notre Dame 7.
With 4 minutes and 34 seconds remaining in the third quarter, Southern Cal has taken a 14-7 lead over the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame on that 36-yard run by O.J. Simpson. We've been reminding you all afternoon, both Jim and I, that if these fellas can get a little opening with that speed that they have, they can go and make trouble for a lot of folks. And right now they have forced Notre Dame to play catch-up football with the Irish trailing 7-14. Other score, Coach Johnny Pott down at Indiana having a fine year so far. Indiana at the half leads Iowa 14-3. At the half, Colorado 17, Missouri 7. Third quarter, Illinois 7, Minnesota 7. And a final, Navy 27, Syracuse 14. Ready for the kickoff? Here's Jim.
Rosevich kicking off, end over end this time. Taken by Haley at the 8-yard line. Back to the 15, 20, 25. And hit at the 29-yard line and dragged down by Joel Bima. Notre Dame now with their work cut out for them. 4 minutes, 29 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Southern California has the lead, 14-7. Notre Dame, however, has the football, and Coley O'Brien is coming in to quarterback the Irish. They have 1st and 10 from their own 29.
It was Coley O'Brien, you recall, last fall in place of Hanratty, who gave the Irish that 51-0 lead or win over Southern Cal.
Seymour split wide to the right. I formation in the backfield. O'Brien rolls to the right. He throws. It is incomplete. The pass was intended for Bob Gladjo, and Jerry Shaw was the defender for Southern California. Tim Rosevich, I believe, touched that football. And that's the third time he has either deflected or partially deflected a pass this afternoon. It's second down, still 10 to go at the Notre Dame 29. Seymour wide to the right again. I formation in the backfield. Coley O'Brien has the ball. He's back to pass. Looking to the weak side this time, and it's incomplete. At the 50-yard line, intended for Jeff Zimmerman. And back with Jeff Zimmerman that time was Adrian Young, the right side linebacker for Southern California, who intercepted 3 passes for the Trojans in the first half.
Final score, Idaho 19, Montana 14. Third quarter score, Iowa State 17, Kansas State 0.
Big play for Notre Dame if they want to get back in this football game. It's 3rd and 10 from their own 29. Coley O'Brien has the football, rolls to his left. He's being chased, throws. It's incomplete at the 42-yard line. That pass was intended for Rocky Blyer. Mike Battle was back there for Southern Cal along with Pat Cashman. 4th down, kicking situation for Notre Dame from their own 29 with 10 yards to go. Tim Monty in the center of the ball for the Irish. Mike Battle going back deep for Southern California. Rocky Blyer will be doing the booting for Notre Dame, standing at his own 15. 4:14 remaining in the third quarter. There's the snap. Blyer gets a bad kick away again off the right side of his foot, bouncing at the 42-yard line of Notre Dame. And it goes back to the 41, and it's down right there by Notre Dame's Jim Weingartner. 2 bad kicks in a row for Rocky Blyer, and he's a rather unhappy young man down on the sidelines. So good field position once again for Southern Cal as they take over the ball at the Notre Dame 41. Earl McCullough split to the left this time. On the wing to the right is Lawrence. Steve Soggy calls the signals, pitches it back to Simpson around the right side, throws a fake. He's to the 40, to the 35, to the 30, and knocked down at the 21-yard line. O.J. Simpson.
I mentioned earlier, as he gets his interference to start cutting down Notre Dame defenders on that sweep, he can go, and he did almost that time. The only man who had a chance at him was Tommy Shane, shoved him out of bounds. Otherwise, it was Nellie bar the door again.
It's ruled he stepped out of bounds at the 24, so it's a 17-yard gain for Simpson. It's 1st and 10, Southern Cal.
at the Notre Dame 24-yard line. There's the snap. The handoff goes to the fullback, Scott, and he's inside the 20 to the 19-yard line. Chuck Lauk makes the stop for Notre Dame. And the Trojans are on the march once again. A 5-yard pickup by reserve fullback Dan Scott, taking Mike Hull's place this afternoon. Hull injured his knee in a game last week against Stanford, and it was operated on this past week.
Just a reminder that today's game is brought to you by B.F. Goodrich, the Straight Talk Tire people, and by State Farm Mutual, the biggest car insurance company that there is. A couple of final scores have come in. Florida State 17, South Carolina nothing. And a final, Penn State 50, Boston College 28. Well, there was no doubt before the football game began here this afternoon that Coach Eric Bartsegian feared the speed of this Southern California football team. And O.J. Simpson scoring on one 36-yard run, and now putting the Trojans again deep in Notre Dame territory, just shy of the Notre Dame 19. It has been the speed with which Southern Cal has been able to maneuver. They trailed 7-0. They knotted it up 7-7, and they lead 14-7, threatening again now. Here's Jim.
Trojans have the football, 2nd and 5 at the Notre Dame 19-yard line. I formation in the backfield. Soggy, the quarterback, gets the ball, hands to Simpson over right tackle to the 15, and pulls his way to the 11-yard line. Brought down over there by Shane and Olson for Notre Dame. It's another first down for Southern California.
The adrenaline is stirred up. You give a ball club like Southern Cal a chance to go ahead, and they are really fired up now, moving that football down to the 11-yard line. Simpson has carried 27 times for 135 yards.
Steve Dale in at fullback now for Southern California, replacing Dan Scott. It's 1st and 10 at the Notre Dame 11. Hand off to Simpson over left tackle. He's to the 7-yard line. Dave Martin in there along with Eric Norrie and Bob Olson for Notre Dame. The difference in this half thus far has been certainly the running of the Southern California backs, particularly O.J. Simpson. Out of the huddle now come the Trojans. It's 2nd down and 6 with the ball at the 7-yard line. High formation in the backfield. Soggy hands the ball to Simpson again over right tackle, and he fights his way to around the 4-yard line. Good blocking that time on the right side of that Southern California line. Mike Scarpace, Ron Yerry, Bob Olson again making the stop for Notre Dame right at the 4-yard line.
Just down the pike in Bloomington, Indiana. Third quarter score, Indiana 14, Iowa 10. The Hawkeyes have narrowed that gap a little bit.
Dan Scott back in at fullback for SC. It's 3rd and 3 at the Notre Dame 4. There's the handoff pitch back to Simpson, and he's brought down at the 6-yard line. In there, Dave Martin, John Pergine, and getting up off the bottom is Chuck Lauk for Notre Dame.
And Simpson's a little bit slow getting up, but I don't think he's injured, just shaken up on the play. That was almost the identical play on which Simpson went 36 yards for the touchdown that put Southern Cal in the lead. 4th down coming up.
Ricky Aldridge for Southern California will be in to attempt a field goal. The ball will be spotted at about the 12-yard line. There's the snap. The ball is kicked. It's up in the air, and it's good. Southern California has the lead in this football game by the score of 17-7 with 1 minute and 10 seconds remaining in the third quarter.
Perhaps the Trojans are smarting a little bit about that odds makers putting them down 10 or 12 points to Notre Dame at the start of this football game. They lead now by 10 points, 17-7 over the Fighting Irish, and there's still about 1 minute and 10 seconds remaining in the third quarter. The Irish have got to go for more than just one touchdown. Now they trail 10 points. There's a lot of work ahead.
Trojans certainly have plenty of incentive in this football game. They're number 1 and have not won a game here at Notre Dame since 1939. Rosevich approaches the ball, kicks it, it's up in the air, and it's taken by Haley at the 10-yard line, back to the 20, to the 25, and he's hit and knocked down around the 28-yard line. Jerry Shaw making the stop for Southern California. Well, let's see who the Notre Dame quarterback is going to be. Last time it was Coley O'Brien, and now in comes Terry Hanratty. Ball is spotted now at the 29-yard line of Notre Dame, where it's first down and 10. Paul Snow in at the flanker back position for Notre Dame. He's wide to the right. Terry Hanratty gets the ball. He goes back to pass. Looks, throws for Seymour. Seymour's got it at the 43-yard line. Fights his way to about the 43. Elbows and fists flying down there for just a moment as Seymour was hit by 3 or 4 Southern California defenders. The ball is at the 42, a gain of 13 yards.
Pat Keisman, the defensive back for Southern Cal, has been doing a pretty good job of taming Seymour this afternoon. But in that one, Jim looked like the Seymour of old, pulling it right out of his hand.
He was ready. It's first and 10. Notre Dame from their own 42. Hanratty goes back to pass. Looks out to the right. Completes it to Gladjo at the 45, and he's brought down by Adrian Young at the 47. Jim Seymour in the football game has caught 4 passes so far, good for 48 yards. 5 yards on that last pass completion. It's second down and 5 with the ball at the 47. There's the snap. Pitch back this time to Gladjo. He slips and falls at the 46-yard line.
From Notre Dame Stadium, we're about to begin the fourth quarter where Southern Cal leads Notre Dame 17-7. This is Frank Sweeney along with Jim Morris. Heard this afternoon coast to coast on the ABC radio network and round the world through the facilities of Armed Forces Radio. So our servicemen around the world are sitting in on this ball game just like you and I.
And Frank, I certainly recall last year when we heard from some of the boys in Vietnam saying how happy they were to hear the ball game brought to them by Armed Forces Radio. And it's always nice to hear from them. When action resumes now, Notre Dame will have the football, third down and 6 to go at their own 45-yard line. And with that last play, that signaled the end of the third quarter, and we'll begin action here in the fourth quarter now as the teams change sides. Southern Cal has the lead, 17-7, with 15 minutes left to go in this football game.
A third quarter score, Auburn 36, Clemson 21. Time still out down on the playing field. The Fighting Irish will be moving from our right to our left when play is resumed. Southern Cal defending the north goal. And not one person in this jam-packed stadium has any thoughts of leaving this ball game before that final gun is sounded. They're hoping, of course, being a partisan Notre Dame crowd, that the Irish somehow, some way, can fight back from this deficit and go ahead and rack up a win. The Irish scored first, went ahead 7-0. But then Southern Cal on a break at the beginning of the second half on a fumbled kickoff didn't take long to tie up the ball game 17-7. And then with 4 minutes and 34 seconds remaining in the third quarter, O.J. Simpson took a pitch out from his quarterback, Sagi, swept around his own left end and went those 36 yards for the touchdown. And the most recent score with 1:17 remaining in the third quarter, Aldridge kicked a field goal of about 10 yards, making it 17-7.
Here we go. Third down, 6. Notre Dame from their own 45. Snow to the left, Weingartner to the right. Hanratty gets the ball, goes back to pass. He looks, he throws. It's intercepted by Battle at the 50, to the 40, to the 30, to the 25, the 20. Gets away from a tackler. He's all the way down to the 15-yard line of Notre Dame. And Hanratty is out cold on the field. He was the man that made the stop.
Mike Battle has just intercepted a Terry Hanratty pass in Southern Cal territory and moved downfield to the Notre Dame 17-yard line, where Southern Cal, leading 17-7, will have the opportunity to put that ball into play. First down, 10 yards to go. Hanratty still being worked on out there in the field. Head coach Ara Parsegian has gone out to look over the situation and see just what is the condition of his number one quarterback here. A final score has come in. Richmond 42, Furman 14. And a hush has really come over this crowd. We certainly hope that the injury is nothing serious, not any more of a serious nature than having the wind knocked out of him. But we can recall quite vividly last year when Terry suffered that shoulder separation and the bulwark of the offense was put on the shoulders of young Coley O'Brien. Terry is going to get up. He's a little groggy as he comes off the field, but he is coming off under his own power with a slight assist from a couple of trainers out there. Gets a big hand, quite naturally, from the crowd. Now, before action resumes, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification.
This is KABC Radio, Los Angeles, the world's first ombudsman station, here to cut the red tape between you and your government.
Southern California has the football at the Notre Dame 17-yard line after that interception by Mike Battle, who returned it 43 yards and has set Southern Cal up again in scoring position. 1st and 10 at the Notre Dame 17. And the crowd here at Notre Dame is making too much noise, according to quarterback Steve Soggy of Southern Cal. So he asked referee Howie Wirth to please quiet the crowd once again as Southern California goes back into the huddle. Mike Battle has picked off one this afternoon. Jurancic has picked off another, and Adrian Young for Southern Cal has picked off 3. All right, up to the line of scrimmage once again. 1st and 10 from the Notre Dame 17. There's the snap. O.J. Simpson to the 15 and now to the 14-yard line. Stop made by Kuchenberg, Pregame, and McGill. Ball is at the 14-yard line, a gain of 3 for O.J. Simpson. It'll be 2nd down and 7. As out of the huddle, once again, comes Southern Cal. Everyone tight this time. Now Lawrence moves to the wing for Southern Cal. There's the snap. It's a reverse to Lawrence. He gets to the 7 or 8-yard line. Tom O'Leary makes the stop along with Tom Shane. Jim Lawrence that time was on the wing to the right, took the ball on the reverse and moved to the 8-yard line of Notre Dame. It'll be 3rd down and about a yard. Southern Cal up to the line. Lawrence on the wing to the right again. There's the snap. Simpson with the ball. He's inside the 5 to the 3-yard line. 1st down, Southern Cal. Making a stop, Bob Olson, along with Mike McGill for Notre Dame, but it's a 1st down for the Trojans. 1st and goal from the 3.
They're working over Terry Hanratty down here on the bench, but from a layman's point of view, it looks like it's nothing more serious than having the wind knocked out of him, having maybe been knocked unconscious on the field, but I don't think that there's any serious injury to the Notre Dame quarterback. Time is stopped out on the playing field. 13 minutes and 23 seconds remain in this football game. Southern Cal has that 17-7 lead, but they have a 1st down and goal to go at the Irish 3. So the score could change again. 3rd period score, Pittsburgh 13, Wisconsin 3. A final, Toledo 33, Bowling Green nothing. And a final, Kansas 10, Nebraska nothing. Well, it's quite certain now that we will see Coley O'Brien in there at quarterback when and how the Irish get possession of this football. Southern Cal has it at the Notre Dame 3-yard line. The Notre Dame defensive huddle breaks up. Southern Cal in their offensive huddle will be at the line of scrimmage, and the action will resume. 17-7. Southern Cal leading Notre Dame. Here again, Jim Morse.
Trojans out of the huddle now and up to the line of scrimmage. Lawrence on the wing to the right. It's 1st down, goal to go at the Notre Dame 3-yard line. Simpson and Scott are the setbacks for Southern Cal in the I formation. Soggy the quarterback. The handoff goes to Simpson around the left side. Touchdown for Southern Cal. O.J. Simpson scoring for Southern California on a play that looked like it was designed to go over left tackle. There was no hole there. So Simpson made a move to the outside and scored around left end. Ricky Aldridge will be in to attempt the extra point for Southern Cal. Steve Soggy will hold. Everyone set. There's the snap. The ball is spotted. It's up in the air, and it's good.
With Notre Dame ready to receive this kickoff, trailing 24-7, we have a final score: Michigan State 34, Michigan nothing.
There's the kickoff by Rosevich. It's taken at the 10-yard line. Back to the 20, 25, and to the 28-yard line goes Rocky Blyer. Jerry Shea. Check that, Jerry Shaw made the stop for Southern California. It's Notre Dame's ball. First and 10 from their own 28-yard line. They trail in this football game. Southern Cal 24, Notre Dame 7. Coley O'Brien is the quarterback for Notre Dame. He fumbles the football, and let's see. He has it. However, there's a penalty marker on the play. Notre Dame is signaled offside now. So Adrian Young, the defensive captain of Southern California, discusses the possibilities with referee Howard Wirtz. There was a loss on the play. The penalty of offside against Notre Dame is declined by Southern California, and the ball is spotted back at the 26-yard line, a loss of 2 on the play. Simpson for Southern Cal has rushed 32 times in this game for 153 yards. Notre Dame's ball, 2nd and 12 at their own 26. O'Brien on the draw play this time to Zimmerman. He's brought down right at the 26 by big number 71 for Southern California, Willard Scott. Let's give Zimmerman 1 yard on the play and call it 3rd and 11. Now with the ball at the 27-yard line. Rocky Blyer is split wide to the left this time. Coley O'Brien is calling the signals for Notre Dame. There's the snap. Back to pass goes O'Brien. He throws over the center. It's complete to Gladjo at the 40-yard line. And there's a flag on the play as Mike Battle comes in late and hits Gladjo after he was down. The actual tackler on that play for Southern California was Adrian Young. Battle came in late, and we're going to get a 15-yard personal foul against Southern California. And that will move the ball down to the 45-yard line of Southern Cal.
Fortunes of football take some strange twists. Notre Dame favored to win this game, trailing 24-7. Southern Cal doing nothing to take anything away from their number 1 rating.
1st and 10, Notre Dame at the Southern Cal 45. O'Brien goes back to pass, looks, throws over the center. A great catch by Gladjo. He was brought down immediately by Bill Jurancic and Adrian Young. A gain of 11 yards on the play. The ball is spotted at the 34. Gladjo in this football game has caught 6 passes, good for 55 yards. Notre Dame's ball, 1st and 10 at the SC 34-yard line. O'Brien again back to pass. He looks to his left, throws to his right. Now it's incomplete. That pass was intended for Jim Weingartner. Thrown just a little bit too high, could not get his hands on it.
3rd period score, Oklahoma 7, Texas 3. Here at South Bend, it is still California 24, Notre Dame 7. The Irish have a 2nd down at the Southern Cal 34.
Rocky Blyer out of the football game now. He's replaced by Paul Snow. Notre Dame's ball, 2nd and 10 at the 34 of Southern Cal. Coley O'Brien fumbles the football. However, he recovers the fumble himself at the 35. That's the 2nd fumble by O'Brien now on that exchange from center.
You know, there's something to be said about those fumbles by quarterbacks. The center for Notre Dame certainly is accustomed to Terry Hanratty being back there. Every quarterback has his own little peculiarity about how he takes that snap from center. And there might be just that much difference between Hanratty and O'Brien in the way they maneuver to take off the snap. Just a reminder now that today's game is brought to you by B.F. Goodrich, the Straight Talk Tire people. Play about to be resumed down in the field. Southern Cal 24, Notre Dame 7. The Irish have the football at the Southern Cal 35-yard line. Well, it's a happy time in Ames, Iowa this afternoon. Iowa State defeated Kansas State by a 17-0 score.
There was a loss of a yard on that last play. It's 3rd and 11. The ball now at the 35-yard line of Southern Cal. Coley O'Brien is the man of the hour at quarterback for Notre Dame. He gets the ball, rolls to his left. He's going to run with it. He's to the 30, inside the 30 to the 28-yard line. Pat Cashman and Jerry Shaw make the stop, and now Coley O'Brien is hurt. Coley O'Brien is down on the sidelines at the 28-yard line, and earlier in this football game, Terry Hanratty was hurt, and we're watching his movement right now as he gets up slowly from the bench and moves down to take a look at Coley O'Brien.
From Notre Dame Stadium on the campus of Notre Dame University, the clock shows 11 minutes and 17 seconds remaining in this ball game. Frank Sweeney here along with Jim Morse as they work over Coley O'Brien on the sidelines.
Bob Belden's coming in at quarterback. However, I see Terry Hanratty going to both Ara Parsegian, Dr. George Collop, and to backfield coach Tommy Pagna, wanting to get back in the ball game. And now Coley O'Brien is also up on his feet. He wants to get back in the ball game. However, Bob Belden is the quarterback for Notre Dame. And the situation is this. 4th down, 4 yards to go. Notre Dame at the 28-yard line of Southern Cal. Belden gets the ball. He's back to pass. Looks, he throws over the center, and it's caught on a great catch at the 15-yard line by Jim Weingartner.
A wobbly pass, and he had to make a great catch on that one because as he went for the ball, he was hit and knocked down. And Coley O'Brien has gone back into the ball game. I don't think Ara Parsegian sent him in, Jim. I think he just went in on his own down there.
Well, Bob Belden came in for one play and really did the job. A 14-yard pass in a crucial situation, and Notre Dame has a first down, 10 to go at the 16-yard line of Southern Cal. O'Brien is again the quarterback. He rolls to his right, looks, throws wide out here over the head of the intended receiver, Jim Seymour.
We have a final score. Minnesota beat Illinois in the Big Ten this afternoon by a 10-7 score. Illinois next up on the Notre Dame schedule next Saturday afternoon. Another final, Tennessee 24, Georgia Tech 13.
10 minutes, 33 seconds remaining in the football game. Southern Cal 24, Notre Dame 7. However, Notre Dame has the football and is threatening with 2nd and 10 at the Southern Cal 16. Coley O'Brien goes back to pass. He slips, he gets up now, and he's hit once, gets away from one tackler. Now he's going to run. He goes to the right, he's to the 20, gets away from Jurancic. He's knocked out of bounds at the 12-yard line.
You know, Coley is fighting mad. When he was injured, he was hit by Pat Cashman, and I think Coley has taken on a personal vendetta right now against these Trojans of Southern California as he moved that ball handsomely to the Southern Cal 12-yard line. The Irish have 3rd down and about 6 yards to go.
Great job that time by Coley O'Brien, who slipped and almost fell, then got away from 2 tacklers, decided to run and picked up 4 yards. It's 3rd and 6 at the SC 12. O'Brien again back to pass, rolls to his left, looks to his right. Now it's intercepted by Adrian Young again, his 4th interception of the day. What a football game this young man has played.
The pass was on the mark, but the defender had been knocked to the ground, making the possibility for Young to intercept. And he has played a fine football game this afternoon. He's been Johnny on the spot wherever those Notre Dame passes have come. We have a final. New Hampshire 17, Maine nothing. Now Southern Cal about to take over 1st and 10 from their own 5-yard line, leading in this ball game 24-7.
SC out of the huddle now. Lawrence is on the flank to the right. Everyone else is in tight I formation in the backfield. Sagi's the quarterback. There's the snap. Goes to Simpson. He hits to about the 6-yard line. And there's a fumble on the play. But it's going to be whistled dead. Notre Dame came up with that ball. However, referee Howie Wirtz said the ball had already been blown dead, and Southern California will retain possession. Southern Cal huddles in their own end zone. Spotted just over the 5, so we'll call it no gain. 2nd and 10. I formation once again.
Goes to Scott this time over left tackle, and he's out to around the 10-yard line. He looks like he was shaken up just a little bit on the play as he was hit quite hard by Mike McGill and Kevin Hardy. Ball is spotted just inside the 10-yard line now. A gain of about 4.5 yards. It'll be 3rd and 5.5 or 6. SC out of the huddle once again. Same formation. Jim Lawrence on the flank to the right. I formation in the backfield. Referee now calls for a new ball. 9 minutes, 3 seconds remaining in this football game. There's the snap. And the ball goes to Simpson. He's out to the 11. There's a flag on the play. It's an offside call against Southern California, probably to be declined by Notre Dame.
During the lull, here's the third period score. VMI 14, the Citadel 3.
The penalty of offside against Southern California is declined by Notre Dame, and that will bring up a 4th down situation and bring in Ricky Aldridge to kick for the Trojans. Going back deep now for Notre Dame, Tommy Shane and Tom Quinn. There's the snap. Aldridge has the ball, kicks it, gets away a beauty this time. On the far side of the field, however, it's going out of bounds over there. It's a beautiful high spiral, however, it did go to the left and went out of bounds a little bit prematurely, and Notre Dame will take possession at the 38-yard line of Southern Cal.
Kevin Hardy gave it the real try that time. He took 2 defenders along with him, actually slammed into the kicker just a shade after the kick had been made. Just a reminder, today's game is brought to you by B.F. Goodrich, the Straight Talk Tire people, and by State Farm Mutual, the biggest car insurance company there is.
Notre Dame's football, 1st and 10 from the Southern California 38-yard line. Back to pass goes Coley O'Brien. He's being chased, throws, it's batted down and almost intercepted by Willard Scott. That was a screen pass to the right, and Scott got in the screen and almost intercepted the football. Of course, as a line, those linemen, aren't known for catching passes. He looked like he was trying to kill the ball rather than receive it. Nevertheless, he got the job done, as he has all afternoon for Southern Cal. Notre Dame out of the huddle, 2nd and 10. The ball at the 38 of Southern Cal. Coley O'Brien gets the ball, rolls to his left now, being chased, flips it over here. It's incomplete, intended to go for Gladjo, and almost picked off that time by Adrian Young again. I imagine Coach Ara Parsegian and the rest of the Notre Dame coaching staff feels that Young has picked off just about enough passes for Southern Cal this afternoon. He's intercepted 4 Notre Dame passes. It's 3rd down, 10 yards to go, Irish. The ball at the 38-yard line of Southern Cal. Both Seymour and Snow are to the right this time. That's the short side of the field as O'Brien calls the signals, and he goes back to pass, throws over the center, and it's incomplete. It was intended for Gladjo. He didn't even see the ball. It's possible that ball could have been thrown right out of the sun that time, because Gladjo didn't even see it.
We have a final score. Pittsburgh beat Wisconsin this afternoon by a score of 13-11. Here's a final. VMI 22, the Citadel 11.
The ball at the 38-yard line of Southern Cal. It's 4th down and 10, Notre Dame. Seymour splits to the left along with Snow. O'Brien goes back to pass. Being rushed, heavy rush this time, gets away from one tackler, tries to throw it, he's brought down at the 44-yard line of Southern Cal. The Trojans hold and take over. Tony Terry was the man that made the stop for Southern Cal.
Well, it's a charged-up Southern California team that's playing the Fighting Irish here this afternoon. And it looks like they're going to gain some semblance of revengeance from the season's finisher last fall.
There's 8 minutes, 27 seconds remaining in this football game. Southern Cal has the ball, 1st and 10 from their own 44. There's the snap. Scott has the ball over left tackle. He dropped it. However, Soggy recovered it.
Sagi falls on that football at the 44-yard line.
Next Saturday afternoon, Notre Dame will be at Champaign-Urbana, Illinois, to play the Fighting Illini in a renewal of a long old rivalry. We hope that you'll join Jim and I when our ABC microphones will bring you every play and every thrill in that football game. 7:58 remaining here. Southern Cal's 24, Notre Dame 7.
Second down, still 10 yards to go with the ball at the 44, and Sagi goes back to pass. He's being chased by Kuchenberg, gets away from him. McCoy's after him, gets away from McCoy. And brothers, he hit by Olson at the 41. Bob Olson really hit Steve Sagi that time.
He sandwiched him because there was a defender following the play, and as Olson hit Sagi, he slammed him right into the defender. The little guy is up, but there's no doubt that he has been shaken somewhat on that play.
Earl McCullough comes in for Southern Cal, replacing Bob Klein, and the ball is spotted at the 40-yard line. It's third down and 14 for Southern Cal. McCullough is wide to the left. Lawrence is in the slot to the left. Sagi gets the ball, hands now to Simpson, over left tackle, gets away from two tacklers to the 45-50, and is dropped at the Notre Dame 47-yard line. He's about a yard short of a first down. Tom O'Leary made the tackle for Notre Dame.
Good blocking downfield on that one. It looked like the blockers actually went downfield on a fake, then stopped, waited for Simpson to come their way, and started cutting down whatever Notre Dame men they could find in blue jerseys.
Fourth down, about a yard to go. The ball at the Notre Dame 47. And Aldridge is in to punt for Southern Cal. Tom Shane goes back deep for Notre Dame. There's the snap. There's the kick. High spiral this time, going out of bounds on the far side of the field. The ball will be spotted right at the 10-yard line, and there is 6 minutes, 21 seconds remaining in the football game. Southern Cal 24, Notre Dame 7.
What the Irish need now is a finish like that 1936 game against Ohio State, down by this kind of a score. It's not impossible, but there's a lot of work to be done if they're even going to get close.
Well, they need some long shots here, Frank, no question about that. But Southern California has been playing great defense all day. Notre Dame first and 10 from their own 10. Coley O'Brien on the draw play this time to Gladjo, gets back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all. Tony Terry and Adrian Young make the stop for Southern Cal. What a game. We can't say too much about Adrian Young's play this afternoon. He's the right side linebacker for Southern Cal. He's been in on numerous tackles and intercepted 4 passes today. Notre Dame's ball, second and 10 from their own 10, as Seymour and Snow are split to the left. It's the draw play this time to Gladjo again. He's out to the 14-yard line and stopped right there by, let's see, a new number in that backfield, Ralph Oliver. He's the middle guard. Ball is at the 14-yard line now. A gain of 4 on the play. It's third and 6. Seymour is split to the left this time. Paul Snow is flanked to the right. O'Brien's going to keep the ball himself. He gets out to the 18-yard line. He is short of the first down. Dennis Crane makes the stop for Southern Cal. Be a fourth down situation, 4th and 2 at the 18 of Notre Dame, and Rene Tirado comes in to punt for Notre Dame. He's the barefooted kicker for the Irish. He'll be standing back at his 5-yard line. Mike Battle is going back deep for Southern California. There's the snap. There's the kick, and it's a pretty good one. Mike Battle goes out of bounds with it at around the 46-yard line of Notre Dame. Time is running out on Notre Dame. There's 4 minutes, 27 seconds remaining in the football game. Southern California has the lead by the score of 24-7, and they also have the football. First down, 10 yards to go at the Notre Dame 46-yard line. And in the background, no doubt you can hear the Notre Dame student body allowing for the Irish to get that football and get on the scoreboard once again. Terry Hanratty was injured earlier in this football game and is now sitting down on the sidelines. He appears to be all right because he asked to go back in not too long ago. All right, Southern Cal's football. There's the snap. It's the reverse play to Lawrence. He's to the 45 and hit at the 40 on a great tackle by Tom O'Leary. O.J. Simpson in this football game has carried 34 times, good for 154 yards. Boy, if that young man doesn't do a workhorse job every Saturday afternoon, I don't know who does, because going into the game, he had averaged over 30 carries per game and gained 602 yards in 4 games. A gain of 6 on the play. It's 2nd and 4. The ball at the 41. There's the snap. Soggy hands to O.J. Simpson again, and he's over the 40 and brought down at about the 38. There's a flag on the play. Offside being called against Southern California. Simpson now has carried 35 times, good for 170 as we get a correction.
Offside, Southern California.
5 yards being marked off against Southern California. Puts the ball back now at the 45 of Notre Dame. And it is 2nd and 9. Tom Quinn in that defensive backfield replacing Jim Smithberger now for Notre Dame. Out of the huddle come the Trojans. I formation in the backfield. Lawrence on the wing to the right. The handoff goes to Simpson. He's down to the 41 and stopped by Kuchenberg and Olsen.
You know, in some circles, they are making comparisons between Simpson and the ex-Kansas Comet Gale Sayers, now the Chicago Bears. I sometimes wonder about such comparisons. I think it's just become a popular knack to start comparing anybody with any semblance of speed or grace or style to Sayers. But nonetheless, our hats off to O.J. Simpson. He's one heck of a ball player.
That he is, Frank. The ball is spotted just outside the Notre Dame 40. It's 3rd and 4. The handoff goes to Simpson again, and he gets over the 40, but he's short of the first down at around the 38 or 39-yard line. He's brought down by Chuck Lauk. 3 minutes remaining in the football game. Southern Cal 24 and Notre Dame 7. 4th down and about 2 with the ball at the 39 of Notre Dame. And it looks like we're going to have a punt in this situation as Coach Johnny McKay wants to keep Notre Dame back in the hole. Aldridge is in there. There's the snap, and there's the kick. Going out of bounds at the Notre Dame, let's see, at the Notre Dame 14-yard line. So Notre Dame gets one more shot at it here with 2 minutes, 32 seconds remaining in the football game. The Irish huddle back on their own 5-yard line. Out of the huddle they come with 1st and 10 from their own 14. Wide to the left this time is Paul Snow. Zimmerman, the lone back in the backfield. O'Brien goes back to pass, shoots a long one down here. It's too low, intended for Jim Seymour. Incomplete at the 24-yard line. Bill Jurancic was right there with Seymour. It'll be 2nd down, 10. The ball still at the Notre Dame 14-yard line. Irish out of the huddle. Both Seymour and Snow this time come to the left side. Seymour's in the slot. Coley O'Brien calling the signals for the Irish. He gets the ball. He hands off to Zimmerman. Zimmerman's to the 20 and the 22-yard line. And he is stopped by Steve McConnell, the middle guard for Southern California. Gain of about 8. It'll be 3rd down and 2 with the ball at the 22. Irish huddling back at their own 14. Here they come now, ready to go. Jim Seymour split to the left. I formation in the backfield. 3rd and 2 from the 22. The handoff goes to Gladjo. He's got the first down out to the 25-yard line. Jeff Zimmerman comes in the ball game now. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification.
This is KABC Radio, Los Angeles, the world's first ombudsman station that's here to cut the red tape between you and your government.
It's first down, 10 yards to go. Notre Dame from their own 25, a minute 21 remaining in the football game. O'Brien goes back to pass, rolls to his left, looks to the right side now, completes it to Seymour at the 38, and he's knocked out of bounds on the far side by Bill Jurancic. A gain on the play of 17 yards. The ball is now at the 42. First and 10, Notre Dame. And as Seymour goes out of bounds, that stops the clock with a minute and 11 seconds remaining in the football game. Seymour has caught 5 passes this afternoon, good for 62 yards. Coley O'Brien back to pass again, looking for Seymour. And it's incomplete at the 40-yard line of Southern Cal. Defending for Southern Cal was Pat Cashman. And the throw was intended for Jim Seymour.
Final score, Holy Cross 17, Colgate nothing. A third quarter score, Air Force 10, North Carolina nothing. And a third quarter score, Colorado 23, Missouri 7.
The ball at the 42-yard line of Notre Dame. It's 2nd and 10. Seymour split wide to the left. Snow is flanked to the right. Coley O'Brien gets the ball again and goes back to pass. He's looking for Seymour again. It's incomplete at the 35-yard line, but we're going to get an interference call. Bob Jensen is called for interference against Bob Gladjo. Well, that'll be an automatic first down for Notre Dame. The ball is spotted right at midfield, and on the clock it shows a minute and 1 second remaining in the football game. And a reminder, today's football game is brought to you by B.F. Goodrich, the Straight Talk Tire people, and by State Farm Mutual, the biggest car insurance company there is. Notre Dame's ball, 1st and 10. The ball right at midfield. O'Brien gets the ball, back to pass again, throws over the center, and Snow, or check that, Seymour makes a great catch at the 36-yard line. And he's hit immediately by 4 or 5 Trojan football players. Pat Cashman in there, Steve Swanson, and Mike Battle. All in there to stop Jim Seymour, and the ball is spotted at the 37, a gain of 13 yards. Irish take a timeout with 46 seconds remaining on the scoreboard clock.
Well, it's obvious that Southern Cal came here to prove a point, and they've proved it quite handsomely, leading the Notre Dame Irish by a score of 24-7. It's been a combination of speed. It's been a combination of a great pass defense, especially a young fellow by the name of Adrian Young back there, who has picked off 4 Notre Dame passes, and every one of them came at a time when it hurt Notre Dame the most. Coley O'Brien has been in here in the last quarter following an injury to Terry Hanratty, but to bring you up to date on him, he seems to be okay.
Now, Frank, just talking about those interceptions by Adrian Young, he picked off 1 in the end zone when Notre Dame was driving. He picked off 1 at the 6-yard line, and he picked off 1 at the 4-yard line. Well, that's 3 times that Adrian Young personally has stopped Notre Dame drives.
When you're going against things like that, you plan for next week.
Well, Notre Dame's out of the huddle now. 1st and 10 at the Southern Cal 37-yard line. Coley O'Brien is calling the signals for the Irish. He goes back to pass, rolls to his right. He throws now, and it's batted up in the air by Seymour and intercepted by Pat Cashman of Southern California, and he's brought down at the 40-yard line. Seymour batted that ball in the air, and Cashman picked it off, and Cashman is brought down by Jim Weingartner. Well, that'll be all for the Irish this afternoon as Southern Cal takes over, and there's 35 seconds remaining on the scoreboard clock. Well, this will be the first time the Trojans have licked Notre Dame in this stadium since 1939, make that. They have the ball 1st and 10 from their own 40. In at quarterback is Toby Page. He hands to his fullback, who is stopped right at the line of scrimmage. Wilson Bowie in now for Southern Cal. 19 seconds showing now. Ball right at the 40-yard line where it'll be 2nd and 10. Kevin Hardy comes out of the ball game now. Gets a nice hand from the Notre Dame fans. 2nd and 10, Southern Cal. The ball at their own 40-yard line. Page gets the ball. Rolls to his left now. He's going to run it. And he's to the 45, the 50, and in Notre Dame territory, and knocked down by Tommy Shane at the 45. And that's the end of the ball game with the final score, Southern California 24 and Notre Dame 7. And as that final gun sounded, the Southern California football players picked up their head football coach, Johnny McKay, lifted him on their shoulders and carried him over to meet head football coach at Notre Dame, Ara Parsegian. And a happy bunch they are, certain now to retain their number 1 ranking. And now to bring you the final wrap up, my broadcast partner, here's Frank Sweeney.
Thank you, Jim. Well, it's a long flight from here to California, even in the world of jet airplanes. But it's got to be a happy flight for the University of Southern California football team, which pulled off today a win over Notre Dame that hasn't happened here in the stadium since 1939. At the outset, there was no scoring in the first quarter. Early in the second quarter, Terry Hanratty on a 3-yard keeper put the Irish ahead 6-0. Azzaro's point after made it 7-0, and it looked like Notre Dame was going to make the odds makers' predictions come true. However, the opening kickoff of the second half was fumbled. Southern Cal took the ball at about the 23-yard line, and it didn't take long. In 2 first downs, and then Simpson went in, making it 7-6. The point after tied everything up at 7-7. From that point on, Southern Cal maintained possession and really ran this football game. O.J. Simpson went in 36 yards on a pitch out. The point after made it 14-7. Aldrich hit for a field goal from about 10 yards out. That made it 17-7. And then the omnipresent Mr. O.J. Simpson went in from 3 yards out, making it 23-7, and the final point after made it 24-7, and that's the way this football game wraps up. Now, this word from B.F. Goodrich. Next Saturday afternoon, our ABC broadcast crew will be at Memorial Stadium in Champaign, Illinois, where the 1967 edition of the Illini will be host to the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. That game should be an interesting one. This is Frank Sweeney speaking for my partner Jim Morse, hoping you'll join us then. Thanks again to our spotter Howard Murdoch, our statistician John Morse, and to our engineer Bob Boyd. This Notre Dame football broadcast has been produced and directed for ABC Radio by David Cole.